Hello, hello. I wasn't even here. How horrible. I'm babbling away. Hang on, let me get the microphone a little closer. I think the camera, no, I'm certain it was working, but I'm also certain you guys couldn't see me. Oh, let's see. I want to get rid of the step ladder. Hello, step ladder. You know, when you're out in the woods like this, there's step ladders you got to put in their place. So today, I was quite aggravated. I mean, let me say this, okay? I understand, number one, that people stormed the Capitol. I get it. People walked into that Capitol building. Shame on them. But for the most part, I believe they were unarmed. There were some scuffles, but there was also no real defense. And I was kind of shocked by that. They called it an insurrection. They still are calling it an insurrection. And I'm like, either that was the worst insurrection I've ever seen. Like, these people were complete and total idiots and didn't even think about what they were doing. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe the government just was that poorly concerned about the defense of the Capitol. What's up, brother? Hey, you look like Plank tonight. Man? You look like Plank. Oh, there you go. I thought you were Brie Larson there for a second. I must have offended him. Anyway, I am kind of pissed off, you know, and it's really, the more I think about it, it's not even whether or not Trump is president or not. It's about a whole year of just lockdown and a whole year of the media playing like the riots over the summer were just peaceful protests. You know, we watched cities burning, but we were told it's mostly peaceful. People died. Police officers died. At least, I remember at least one guy. He was a retired police officer. Black guy got killed, I think, in Georgia. Welcome back, brother.
Yeah, were you talking about David Dorn?
Yeah, I think so. That captain that was retired but was defending his store and shot.
Yeah, he's defending his friend's pawn shop and he got shot in the back.
Yep. But I mean, that's a peaceful protest, bro. Because nobody had a Trump flag on. See, when a Trump supporter wears a Trump flag, they get superpowers like a Krypton or something. Because did you see him storm those defenses at the Capitol? They were just.
You mean
the Trump?
You mean how they magically mind controlled the police to actually undo all the barricades and shit?
Those huge barricades, like they were so good that they could be miniaturized. I mean, Antifa and BLM, they had what, 10-foot barricades that couldn't be scaled and toppled. The old white people who supported Trump got the wrestling barricades. That's what I call those.
They wanted them to get in just so they can do exactly what they're doing right now.
I think it's kind of, I'm kind of scared though. France and Germany are starting to speak out against this crap. And when France and Germany are speaking out for freedom in America, we are in deep, we're in trouble.
Yeah. That's nothing a gun won't handle.
Well, you know, that's one of the things about this insurrection is if this had been an insurrection, don't you think, I think that it would have been like a 1,000,000 gun march. If it had been an insurrection, which I don't support, so YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, anybody out there listening, I'm not saying they should have, but if this had been an actual emergency, people would have shown up with guns and they would have been there early with guns and they would have just walked right where they wanted to, taking down whoever tried to stop them. And the point I'm trying to make is it wasn't an insurrection. This was a protest, and they allowed the people into the building and then went, "Oh, it's terrorism!" Because they broke some windows. You know, they broke some windows, little chips in the window.
Maybe if they had like lit a couple of chairs on fire and tried to burn the building down, it would have been peaceful.
They flipped the table and some chairs, brother. I saw those tables flipped.
Yeah, all that paper on the floor, like, oh my God, what monsters.
Somebody picked up a lector, one of those little podiums, and walked off with it. Ugh.
I hope these politicians, I'm taking notes who calls the people who showed up terrorists. I'm taking fucking notes. Because you know what? Some of those people, they probably were Antifa.
Oh, some of the people
don't fucking care.
Yeah, they were hired. They were hired to be there, but it's just so disingenuous.
At this point, at this juncture, I can agree with Antifa to some extent. Like, the enemy of my enemy.
Yeah, it's starting to feel that way again.
I'm starting to feel like it's World War II when we aligned ourselves with the Soviet Union. Except I'm going to be like Pat, and I'm going to be like, as soon as we're done with it, we got to take those fuckers out. Like,
he was like that too. But I mean, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I mean, I'm sure there's been behind the scenes crap that's just as bad. But this is blatant, okay, we're going to ban the president. Then we're going to ban a bunch of his buddies and people he likes. And then we're just going to start banning whole social networks because we're God and they're not. I mean, it's weird because
what's that meme? Build your own platform, and it's like build your own ISBN and build your own bank and build your own country. And like,
at some point they've got to admit, they should at least admit they're assholes and they're trying to just shut down the other side because they don't know how to argue them. I'm not saying that the other side is right. What I'm saying is they just don't know how to argue the Republicans. So instead of giving a true intellectual argument, they just want to shut them down.
See, now people are right now comparing some of the people supposing that, Twitter shouldn't be able to stifle free speech. And some people are like, oh, it's a private business or whatever. But when you say that somebody should actually step in, they always bring up that stupid bakery thing. And the biggest difference that nobody notes between those is that money was being exchanged. Nobody's paying for a membership to Twitter. If they were, I would say, okay, they can do their own thing. Same thing with the Boy Scouts. I supported them just staying just for boys because we were paying dues, and it's also called the Boy Scouts. I think when money exchanges hands, that's when you have the right to pick and choose. But if you have a public, say, all right, let put it this way, Chris. Say that you have the money, you bought a piece of land out where you're at, and you put jungle gyms and shit like that up, swings for the kids and everything. But then you hired security to keep all the black people out. How would that look?
Yeah.
And do you think that you should be allowed to do that?
No, hell no.
This is a park that anybody can show up to for free. It's just you're trying to keep all the black folks out.
Yeah, see, I don't believe in that crap, and I don't know. I'm a little lefty.
And it's the same thing with Twitter. Just replace Playground with Twitter and replace black folk with conservatives.
Yep. Well, I am a little bit left when it comes to freedom. That's the ironic thing about America, because I don't believe in stifling a person because of their skin color. And, I don't get, because I've always lived in a world where politics were just like, it was just something that was there and you would argue them. And at the end of the election, oh, well, it's over, It's not that way now.
I'm 100% for freedom, but if you're offering a public platform, you can't then dictate what public is allowed on said platform. That's just not how shit works.
And the thing that really drives me crazy is, all right, let's say they do it anyways, at least do it equally. You know what I mean? Like there's not even a blurred line there. It's like you have people who have denounced Trump for 4 years, talked about killing him, blowing up the White House. You've had riots, you've had this, you've had that. They've let it all go by the wayside. But when Trump got nasty, and when there was a protest at Washington, D.C., they decided to blow this up. And now they're just, I don't know. Now they're just calling anybody who even goes right, leaning at all. Shit.
This sound isn't bothering you, by the way.
Which sound is that?
Hold on, I'm about to make it that sound again.
Oh, the chunk?
The chunk chunk.
Nah. Is that a stapler?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like staplers, man.
I'm making all these chick tracks. Where's my camera? There it is.
Yeah, I saw some photos. Are those now? Those aren't like genuine chick tracks, right?
What do you mean?
Like they're not the old fashioned Southern Baptist Bible buddy.
They kind of are.
They're what?
Like, they kind of are. I mean, there's somewhat of a religious theme to this. There are angels in the book.
Very cool. No, but I mean, like, you're not taking like a literal chick track and throwing it in there. It's something creatively different.
No, I'm just calling it a chick track because it's made the same way. We just took a bunch of cheap paper and look, they even look like chick track.
Yeah, I noticed they did, but I was like, you're not making like a real chick track, right? But
no, this was actually all original art and story by Fly Fox Pro.
That's cool as crap, man.
So he did all these. I'm just putting them together. So yeah, there was a misprint. Like, because,
what's that?
What I said, there was a misprint on the first batch that I got because for whatever reason, because the way I did these is I printed the whole book on one 8x11 sheet, and I put 6 pages on each side of the sheet, so that way I could just cut twice, you know, put them together and staple them. I'm good to go. Well, on side 2, they decided to flip it 180 degrees. So like I got a whole box of them that are completely useless. I can't use them because like half the pages would be upside down and out of order. But luckily, like I was dealing with Mixum, and I'm not complaining about them by any means because they actually reprinted them all at no cost to me. They got them over here priority. So they messed up, but they made up for it.
Do you still have the bad ones?
Yeah, I still have the bad ones.
You should probably slip a sheet of one of those in each of your backers just as a collector thing. Like, look, this was a misprint. It's kind of cool. I love throwing.
That's too much work. I already got enough. Like, this is a stapler I'm using. Like, look, I can't even fit this thing on frame. I could kill somebody with this.
Yeah, that's a weapon, brother.
But the whole point is like with regular staplers at least, I don't have the room to put all this in, so I actually had to get one of these that has like all this is space I could be using. I just have it locked in this place. That's where I want to staple. That's the length I want to get to. That's really cool, man. I've been doing this all day. After I got off work, I hung out for about an hour, and now I'm just doing this.
So let me ask, how long do you think it's going to be before Kamala gets presidency? I'm saying by August of 2021.
Probably. I'm hopeful that it never happens at all.
There are many paths to her presidency, though. He could die. He could get ill. He could be declared mentally unfit. There's many paths for Kamala to
mentally unfit, like already.
Yes, but
that's what bothers me so much. It's like when John McCain ran, everybody on the left was talking about how you don't want some old decrepit guy running for president because as soon as he dies, Sarah Palin would get the presidency, and that scared him. But then you got the same situation with Kamala and Biden. Like they just basically voted for a guy with Alzheimer's. That they know his clock's ticking. He doesn't. I'd be surprised if he lasted his entire term. Not saying that anybody's going to bring violence upon him, but he's going to die of old age before his term's over. I bet. I mean, this
certainly doesn't seem healthy enough to endure 4 years of presidency. I mean,
no.
Everybody who gets in that job comes out gray. What the hell's going to happen to him?
He's just going to turn into dust.
Yeah. Weekend at Bernie's. Let's go for a second term.
Weekend at Biden's. That's what it is.
Oh, God. Did you see George's cartoon about that today? Kamala's
the one where he's locked in the basement and he's trying to get out. Yeah, that one was pretty funny.
I know
I'm
that
kind of
guy.
hit or miss on George. I really like his art, but I don't know. I don't
Well, I
hate the
know that
guy. I
guy's
support what he
kind
does.
of like, yeah, he's not exactly like a raging fire right now. Like people are divided on him somewhat. But I always enjoy his stuff, even when I don't get it or it's stupid, because his art like just blows me away. That he sometimes the stuff he puts up, it's not even quote unquote technically good, but he's an artist who knows how to make the art look alive no matter what he's doing. Like he's the kind of guy I think he could take 3 scribbles and bring emotion into it.
He's got enormous amounts of talent. I'm iffy on him because like at this one point he kind of acted like he was too good to get like a real job. And it really bothers me when some artists or even writers do this. I should just be paid just to sit here and do nothing. Like, dude, we all wish for that, but you know.
Yeah, the way they both
it aggravates me when some people think that like manual labor and actual job is like they're better than that. I'm like, nobody's better than that.
Yep. But I also think like that probably have never actually worked a real day like that. Like unless you've had to get up at like 4 in the freaking morning and go out in the cold and go work your ass off for less money than any of them would even ever work for, you know? I remember
I did wake up at 4 a.m. this morning.
Did you really?
I was at work. Yeah, I was at work at 5. I worked until 2. And then I got home. I zoned out for about an hour. And then I've been doing these chick tracks all day.
Yeah, all my stuff is done at public schools, so it's like I follow their calendar, their clock, which is a trip, by the way. Like I never talk about that, but I'm seeing, wow, the left is getting very emboldened right now, and
that's okay. Let's give them just enough rope to hang themselves with.
I think they are. I just don't know if it's ever going to matter. It's been pretty nasty out there. Just since the 6th, I'm like these people are nuts.
They really are, dude. What bothers me is like during the day, like of the protest. I'm just gonna call it a protest because that's what it fucking was. Yep. During the day of the protest, you were seeing all this footage and everything, like all these different live streams, or at least I was. I was paying attention that day. I was watching a lot of different people live streaming their shit. I was also seeing what was on the news, what was being let out on Twitter. Not once did I see a guillotine or a bunch of people with nooses, nor did I ever see a bunch of people chanting for the death of Mike Pence. But here we are a week later, and suddenly all this stuff happened. It was like overnight they decided to start making all this shit up. And I did see a video where they're quote unquote calling for the death of Mike Pence, but I don't buy it. I don't believe it, because do you really think that CNN wouldn't have run that story if they had known that was going on at that time?
No, of course.
That would have been on the fucking national news that day if that had happened. I think it's bullshit.
I think they would have. They'd still be
false truth.
Well, here's the thing, okay? I wish we could say, gosh, that doesn't seem like them. But we both know that for decades, but most particularly in the last year, we have seen them just outright ignore or lie or exaggerate or underreport, all sorts of things where we're seeing different things out in the world, out on social media. And they're like, the crap was funny until Washington, D.C. happened on the 6th, because it was almost a joke. Like I'm watching a city freaking burn to the ground, and they're saying it's mostly peaceful. But then you turn around and these people, from what I saw, there were a couple of bad fights, and the rest of it was people walking around until that poor woman got shot. And I know, she was in the Capitol building, and she was crawling through into the chamber. I got you. I get it. But she never should have gotten that far. The security in that building must have been so lax that it burns me to the core. It would be like,
but
it would be liable.
She shouldn't have been shot to begin with, man. Like, why switch to automatic lethal force? This woman looked like she was like 130 fucking pounds.
Yeah, she was 103,
And you're
dude.
telling me that she was so much of a threat that you had to decide to use lethal force.
And if you
You
watch
couldn't
the
subdue
video,
her.
have you seen the video where they show her get shot? There were
Yeah.
cops 6 feet behind her, not doing a damn thing to stop her. It's like, wait, I don't know. It was such a damn setup, you know, and it just turns my stomach because none of this had to happen except for they wanted to be able to say this was Trump's fault. People have died because Trump incited a riot, which everything I've seen never incited a riot. He encouraged a peaceful protest. And he seemed to go out of his way to say that enough times that people should get that. But it's just like when he denounced the KKK, and yet they asked him that every single time they talked to him. It seemed, "Do you denounce white supremacy?" Yeah. How many times does he have to denounce it for you guys to know he's denounced it? If you don't believe him, say we don't believe your denunciation, but don't sit there and keep asking him like he hasn't done it.
Yeah,
that's what gets me about the media, because they get their narrative and it doesn't freaking move. It's like, nope, this is what we were told this morning at the CNN meeting. We're not going to say anything but this.
Oh, they're talking about Russia again. I don't know if you noticed that.
I know. You know what? I've unplugged from them so far. General Grudge, welcome. And I'm talking about the chat now. Video James and General Grudge, you both are welcome. I got you. You don't want to come in, but we are welcoming you anyways. If you want to join us, we're on StreamYard. It's just
James should join us. I want to hear a Kiwi Patriot.
I have pasted StreamYard in the chat. This is actually my first exclusive YouTube stream. I usually split it up between YouTube and Facebook. But I didn't want to put it on Facebook in case I want to say, like, you know, fuck shit, piss, motherfucker. Because Facebook, I get more children because I know people that I work with there. So here I can cuss and be very upset about what's going on and not really worry as much about the repercussions. Because these days, who knows, you know? Everybody who's not extreme left seems to be a Nazi right now. And I know the N-word can get you off of YouTube, so I apologize to the powers that be, but that's just what it is right now.
I do not see.
I don't see. I don't know what you mean, but I don't see much either. I'm like, oh, God. Like, is Bill O'Reilly saying anything? Like, he's on Owen now? Like, anybody who I used to trust as an old man or a young man, they're all gone.
Bill O'Reilly was never a man to be trusted to begin with. I remember when Obama was running for his first term, and all he did was give him a bunch of softball questions and just kiss his ass for like the entire duration of the interview.
I do remember that. I remember being mad about that too, because at the time it was being played up like, you know, oh, O'Reilly's going to get his shot at Obama, the no spin zone. And yeah,
the only reason I watched O'Reilly was for Miller.
No, I remember I used to watch it with my son. I watched Fox News for like, I don't know, 5 years straight, and then I got sick of it. And admittedly,
I really liked Red Eye with Greg Gutfeld, but he's doing other stuff now.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know. Election night, was the last time I watched them all, and I knew right away just from the tone where they were headed when they said that the little most likely to win meter didn't go by actual votes, but it went through polls and expressions from voters coming out of the like, yeah, there's something fishy already with this. Fox has been sold, haven't they?
Yeah.
And they've
always been sellouts.
Well, and you know, it kind of wakes you up, because if you can change that quick, then how sincere were you? You know, like, you weren't. It's not. It's
all about money, man.
Yeah, it is. And who knows? You know, right now, I'm not even sure what they're doing with quote unquote money, because they've shut everybody down. But I'm still waiting on the automated, you know, world to take over and force us all into retirement anyways.
Yeah.
I keep hearing technology is just a few years away from wiping out everybody's jobs. Well, we're still working.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I'm like, if what do you do then? Do they just pay you to, like, could we just get paid to be
No,
creative?
they'll pay me to fix the robots because I'll be one of the only few people who know how.
Well, they could train now. They can train peoples.
Could you imagine like some 90-year-old Walmart greeter suddenly having to change jobs to actually fix a robot to greet everybody?
Or well, I think what would be more likely is Walmart will get out of the brick and mortar business. It's all switching to delivery. Like they have robots in prototype mode
Well,
now.
Amazon is experimenting with drones,
Yes.
last I heard.
Yep. Robotic drones, brother.
Oh. Even if technology is never going to wipe out any job because somebody's got to be there to A, keep an eye on it, and B, hook it up, C, fix it. There's always going to be.
They need power to be fed to them, and that's where the humans always seem to play. Whether it's repair, maintenance, or just like you said, plugging them in. Batteries run dry, brother. Although,
I mean, even with like a 3D printer, when you're printing something, you still have to sit there and watch it because the printer might screw up.
yeah,
And you got to be there on site. So that way, if your print starts to go bad, you can stop it before you end up with like this big, huge ball of just string.
yep.
It's messy.
Yeah, we had some Dremel printers, and they were fine for very simple 3D printing, but anytime we got complex, it always seemed to, frag out somewhere. And like you said, it becomes like a ball of string. Like you can't reuse that crap, It's like it's all been turned into a big mush ball if you're not there to stop it.
Well, I'm going to be in the market for a 3D printer here soon. There's a few reasons I want to get one. I want to make little trinkets and stuff for my campaigns, for one.
Mm-hmm.
For two, ghost guns.
Yeah, make sure you get a good 3D printer. The cheap ones.
I've been suggested like the Ender 3, which I looked that up, and that's not terribly expensive.
I don't know. My luck with cheap ones hasn't been good, but I mean,
also see a lot of people on YouTube using the Ender 3 too. Like what I really want is there's this one, I forget which company it is, but it's a metal 3D printer.
Yeah.
So like you got, instead of like the plastic filament, you actually have just lines of stainless steel or aluminum. That's what I really want, but those are really expensive.
So we have Ma Pickles and Gotham Knight joining us. Guys, light up the chat, man. We are talking about basically anything, but I'm ranting because I'm pissed off about the protest that's been called an insurrection. I'm pissed off about right-wingers being called terrorists because they had the balls to show up on their own Capitol. I get that they shouldn't have entered the Capitol gates, but it's like they trapped the people. I feel like it was entrapment. I feel like not only just the cheap ass barriers that they decided to put up, but the fact that they
open
the doors, they let these people in, and then they cry invasion.
Why should they not be allowed in that building?
They should be. The intent of their coming into the building, I could see them locking it down because there's a couple of 100,000 people at the door, but they opened the freaking doors. It's like they moved the barriers. I'm not even sure if these Trump supporters would have gone past the wrestling barriers.
And if you notice now, they're firing. Was it the sergeant or the lieutenants or whatever, the police? They fired them because the police stood down and let them in the building. Which they're getting fired because they don't want them to squeal. They don't want them to tell the media, "Oh no, we were ordered to do that." They told us to. They said it would be good optics for their side.
Well, and I'm sure that there's more to it than just being fired. It's like when the Patriots got caught deflating balls, the ball boys suddenly disappeared. They weren't killed. They just got a lot of money to disappear. These guys getting fired, there's a deal in the back room. They're getting hired somewhere else for twice as much or something,
Well, no, they're still able to claim their pension and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that they probably used that as leverage. They probably said you can either leave, keep your mouth shut, and still get all your pension, or you can open your mouth and all of that goes bye-bye, and we'll see you in a federal prison.
Yep. I will say this though, and you have to give the Democrats a lot of credit here. They have got their hands wrapped around the nutsack of the media, so the media will say and do whatever they want, and they have effectively hidden the fact that the election was less than pure, less than perfect, less than correct. In other words, there were a lot of questions that should have been answered that haven't been.
I see Grudge is asking about our favorite news social media platform. I was on Parler. Now I'm not, I guess.
No, I like Parler because like it's so quiet. I turn it on and nobody's in there. Why is that? Because freaking Amazon thinks they're God and shut them down. Like, it's almost like, okay, so like there's no contract that's legal anymore. You're like, it's just, I don't know. Gotham, I think it was staged to the extent that they took advantage of these people. It was like, I don't know. It was like when you play cops and robbers with your child and you pretend that they're strong enough to arrest you. Like it's almost like the Capitol kind of went, oh, look, we're resisting this terrible insurrection.
Oh, you got me.
When they showed the photos of the damn Congress people, I think they were House of Representatives, and they're on the floor clutching their freaking their chest, and there's one guy running around with a condom on his head saying that he was intimidated. And I'm like, this is crazy. What are they, who are they trying to fool?
See, the thing is you have to ask yourself this is why did they feel that it was necessary to hide?
Yeah.
Think about that.
You're in the Capitol.
If they hadn't done anything wrong, then they shouldn't have anything to worry about, right?
Well, now I hadn't thought about that because my thought is still, you're in the freaking Capitol building. It's supposed to be fortified enough so that if Iran decides to come and make a terrorist attack, if Russia decides to drop a bomb, no matter what happens, you would expect that's the most secure place in the nation. I would think, like, if Antifa and BLM couldn't get in, I wouldn't think these Trump people could. And yet they seemingly, like I said, that's why I think the capes, the Trump flags have power, because they seemingly broke into the most powerful nation in the world's Capitol building. Trump supporters must have had superpowers, or it was all fake. They were entrapped.
I got the superpower of whiteness.
Yeah. Well, Mrs. Pelosi said they chose their whiteness when they went in there because it's all about whiteness. This whole election controversy, because there was a white guy who went against a white guy in an election that was predominantly voted on by white people and minorities. It's so stupid. Like they want to turn it racist. They want to turn it into the N-word. And I don't mean the one for the colored people. I'm really trying not to say
Nagasaki.
Yeah, the Nagasaki. There we go.
The Nagasaki.
But that's probably just as racist to somebody. These days, it's like you can't do anything without people getting offended. And that used to be like an old joke, but it's not a joke anymore. It's dead set real. People get offended over comics. It's like, what?
Well, they're getting offended about shit that happened like decades ago. Like, why are you even mad, bro? That was like 60 years ago. Like, remember that they were trying to cancel John Wayne? I'm like, he's fucking dead. Who cares?
What kills me is when they actually do go back and change stuff. I don't know if I've ever seen it, but I believe Steven Spielberg came out with a copy of E.T. Without Guns, where they digitally removed all the guns from the federal officers. It's that kind of crap that drives me crazy. Mr. Pickles, I am sorry you're offended, but I must tell you the truth. I order my burgers without pickles. I do. But that's mostly because those pickles aren't very good. They're usually out of a plastic jar that's a $5 bucket. And
see, Aubrey doesn't like pickles on her burger either, but she doesn't order no pickles. She just gives her pickles to me. And then I get extra
nice woman. I do that with cherries for Diana. When we get like a sundae.
Yeah. Wait, you don't like the cherries?
Nah, I'm not much of a cherry guy. Not the fruit.
I'm leaving.
I understand, brother. I understand. You know, I'm not all American.
Nagasaki.
I do like apple pie, but I put a lot of Cool Whip on it.
Pie's the best, man. Like, I don't even like cake. I'm a pie man.
But I am I'm weird. Like, I like Hostess cupcakes with cream filling.
You got it, whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most dramatic camera angles we've ever had.
Is it?
You stood up, your ass was right in the camera. It was hilarious. It was in 3-point perspective, pointing up to the light.
That's funny.
Oh, shit. Dude, I'm feeling a little better, so, like, I got to get mad again about this, you know? Like, I don't want to feel better. I want to remain angry because I can't believe what they're pulling. I can't believe there's not a left in here defending.
They still haven't done anything about that $2,000. Here's something you can get angry about. That Joe Biden recently tweeted the exact same thing that Trump had said like fucking 3 months ago about $600 isn't enough. Give the people, you know, 2,000. What? That is exactly what he said. And I'm like, really? You're gonna plagiarize the guy you ran against?
The guy who he's attacking every day now. See, that's what I mean. They all feel emboldened, and they are dumping on Trump. They want to impeach him, and I'm like, what are you impeaching?
Now you got Cuomo also saying that, oh, we can't afford to stay shut down. We have to open now. Oh, ain't that convenient?
Just like Trump.
Just like Trump was saying, just like what every one of us has been saying, because
here's a
the worst thing about the lockdown is that you're locking people down. They're going to get depressed. And when you get depressed, your immune system goes down. That means you're going to get sick a lot more often and a lot more quickly. And it's going to be a lot worse than it would have been otherwise.
And you know what? If you don't get sick, there's going to be a little event down in somebody's, you know, hometown or capital city. And people are going to get pissed and things are going to get riled up, no matter whether they're left, right, or indifferent. You know, I don't care. When you're locked up, people get violent. It just boils up like cabin fever. What makes me upset is how blind people are still being just because of their hate for Trump. I mean, if those videos from Georgia were dealing with the Repubs, you know, they would demand an investigation. Yeah. But yet, since it deals with the Dems, well, there is no evidence of tampering. Bullcrap. Yeah, I agree with you, man. You know what? The tampering thing, I stopped arguing that the election was stolen because you know what? They're not going to hear that. They being those on the left who are adamant that Biden won by more votes than anybody ever, including Obama. So, okay, fine. Biden won by more votes than anybody. I still want the investigations done on these allegations. Now they say, well, they went to court and there wasn't enough proof for it to go to a court case. And to that I say bullshit. You know, I've seen court cases so frivolous that we are like, why did the judge allow this? This wasn't one of those. And even if Trump made everything up on the merit of 70 million people freaking out about this, they should have taken those into court and shown everybody what was the matter, and then let everybody see the judge say, well, this is okay or this is not okay. But this whole, it's like when you get in a fight with your wife, and instead of hearing her out, you just say, you know what? No, I don't even want to hear it. I'm just going to be mad at you for the rest of your life. Stay away from me. You don't do that. You hear them out. You know, you weigh the case and you say, okay, you're still a bitch, but I love you. Whatever it is, you know. But
That's usually what I say.
but you know, like they didn't even do that. They just said, okay, all you 70 million plus people, just shut up because it's not worth hearing. We've decided that it's not worth bringing into court. And I'm sorry, most of the shit I heard, it was all based on opinion and procedure. None of it was based on the evidence of the. Oh, that was my wife. Hi, honey. I hope you stay in chat and help us because I can't pay attention enough. That's my wife, Diana. Yeah, the 4 years they spent blasting about Trump, though, were all based on a FISA report that they finally admitted was crap, paid for by the Clintons. I've actually heard them defend it because the Clintons were doing the good work of patriots, you know, by having a suspicion and investigating it. They won't even admit what that was. And you know, we've watched this now exactly for 4 years, even longer, I'm sure. But in 2020, it became so obvious that I was almost desensitized to it until now. And now they've got, you know, I look at that crowd and I see like somebody was bitching because one of the cops were beaten up by a guy on crutches and hit a cop. And I'm like, yeah, that's like a more than likely a United States veteran who needs those crutches to walk, who felt the need to use that as a weapon for whatever reason. But my point is, these aren't guys out there with AK-47s or M16s or machetes or baseball bats. The guy's using a crutch that he walks with. Like, these are not the earmark of a violent people. This is like,
if you get your ass beat by a guy with crutches, you got fucking more problems than just, you know.
Okay, can I say something that I don't want to sound unsympathetic, but I had a giggle over, and I felt bad about it afterwards. But I saw this video where a cop supposedly got squished in a door by the crowd. He's in full body armor. He has a helmet on and everything, and the crowd rushed the door or something. Like there was like 1,000 cops on one side and 1,000 civilians on the other, and he was like just in the middle of the doorway, and he was fine and all, but I don't know. It was just funny. I feel bad.
That was pretty. I think I know what clip you're talking about. And that was pretty damn funny because this is flat.
Hey!
Well, he was standing in the danger zone.
And they're just, everybody's pushing.
See, what aggravates me is they're also calling some other deaths that had nothing to do with the protest because they're saying, I think they're saying 5 people got killed. One woman was shot by Secret Service. Okay. Another woman, as far as I know, she was trampled, which that is very unfortunate. The other one was a cop who suffered injuries after being knocked over the head with a fire extinguisher. Okay, we got 3. And then they're also adding on a guy who had a heart attack and a dude who had a stroke. And you're sitting there thinking that wasn't even caused. That wasn't even caused by violence or anything. Like those were
incidentals.
You know, manifest destiny, man. Like God was going to take them that way, regardless of where they were. What they were doing, but they're still trying to attribute those 2 deaths to the damn protest.
Yeah, but
there's not a single.
They haven't come back with the COVID test yet, though. This could be another COVID death.
I hope everybody who ran up in there had COVID.
No, I mean like the guy who got hit with the fire extinguisher. That was a COVID death, and the poor woman, that was a COVID death. In fact, you know the woman who was shot. Do you know why she was shot? She had COVID.
The bullet had COVID on it. The bullet was made out of COVID.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, doesn't it?
Well, they've already admitted that they've been doing that too. That's what I don't understand because everybody keeps quoting me like these numbers of the deaths. I was like, you realize they've already openly admitted that like 94% of those deaths aren't directly attributed to that.
Yep, it's related because someone was tested with it.
They also have people who've come out and said that they were doing, what was it? The guy who got killed in a motorcycle wreck, they labeled him as COVID. There's been many nurses and everybody coming forward saying, hey, they're having us label every death as COVID. That's why it looks as bad as it is.
A guy fell off a ladder and they said it was COVID. I mean,
yeah.
And then I heard the idiots on Twitter, the death report didn't get that detailed, but they were like, I'm sure if he had COVID, he did be going up the ladder and lost his balance.
For the better part of the year, we actually had less deaths in 2020 than we did in 2019 until December. And that's when it kind of went up a little bit, not a whole lot, mind you. So, like, the deaths for 2020 and 2019 are still neck and neck. And if we had the pandemic as bad as they said it was, it wouldn't be neck and neck. There would be a substantial more amount of people killed in 2020 than 2019. And this is with them fudging the numbers too.
And I got to tell you, that always drove me nuts because they consistently like, Trump is responsible for 300,000 COVID deaths. And I'm like, China's responsible, number one. And if you want to get technical, I don't think anybody could have done much better. And if you really want to get serious, look at what Biden actually said at the time versus what he professes now, which is a lot like what Trump is professing minus the, I don't know, he's getting scary. He's starting to say shit like.
Well, Trump wanted to do the travel bans and everybody jumped up his ass about it and called him like, was xenophobe and all this other fucking shit.
Yep.
And then on top of that, all the COVID deaths, it's like Cuomo actually sent all the freaking those who tested positive or whatever to nursing homes. And all of that is state and local who has the control. The federal government has no authority to tell any state what to do. That was all on the states.
That's like the national mandate, isn't it? The national mandate doesn't really exist, but Biden's going to work to cooperatively get all 50 states to cooperatively wear masks for 100 days. Welcome to the show.
We've been wearing masks. Hey, ask, and this meme is true. I've tried it before on a couple of different people, but it's that one where you see the NPC and it's like, why are the flu numbers down so much? And they're like, because everybody's been wearing a mask and it's actually healthier for everybody and yada, yada, yada. And then they ask, but why are the COVID numbers so high? And then they start saying, because nobody's wearing masks. And then it stops. And it's like, it's either one or the other, brother.
Well, I have to tell you, and I try to be honest with people we talk to on social networking, and it never works, but most of the masks we are wearing aren't very effective, period. What's actually doing it is social distancing and, just being more conscious about washing your hands or who you're hanging with or whether or not they're in and out of your circle. And I think most people break those rules now and then, but it's a little bit like Russian roulette. And in my opinion, 20 years ago, this would have been just called, man, there's a really bad superbug going around. You don't want to get it. I heard some people died from it.
Just wash your hands often.
Yep, you'd hear about it like that. That was all it was. Now it's like we are mini gods, and we can lock down the country and save the world. Well, people who would have died otherwise will not die.
I do know that the masks at the hospital are a little different.
Yeah, the N95s are very different.
I know that they're not like the special, what do they call it, N something or other? Well, that sounds like that's very bad.
Yeah, no, you're talking about N95s. The regular
N95 still can't stop COVID.
Right.
But the thing is,
and the other thing to know about the N95 masks is that the air you take in when you're inhaling with that mask on, that is filtered. Yeah. When you exhale, that's not filtered at all. So you could have somebody wearing COVID just spraying their fucking COVID breath all over the place.
I don't know anything about that.
It's not filtered.
They're not N95 masks, but last time I went to the hospital, they made me take out the mask I have, and put on their mask.
Yeah, was that one of those like light blue ones with the white ear?
Yeah. And so I don't know if it was much different from the one I had brought with me from, that I had.
It fits better, and they know what standard that's made to. The problem with the cloth masks is like some people wear what they call gates. Those do nothing just about. Then you have the various manufactured masks. Then you have the handkerchiefs. And then you have winners like Alyssa Milano, who will knit her own mask. And if you know anything about knitting, that makes it totally useless. But she actually was lecturing people about masks, and she had a knitted mask on. It was completely absurd.
Sashi wore one, showed one on Twitter that was made out of her panties.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. I remember that, Sashi. Yeah. Yes, I do.
I want that mask.
But I don't know if that's what she wears, or if that was just like her trolling people, or what. So,
No,
or
I
if
think
it was worn before, or if
she
you bought
probably
them
just
new, or what the deal
a
was.
new pair or something recently laundered. But
It's just, I found it entertaining, and I'm not recommending. Well,
the thing about Sashi,
I'm not sure.
You have to admit though, she can draw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She does. She's one of the best cover artists.
I respect
in the indie comics scene.
Well, for women especially, but I adore her little comic women. She draws them very well. You know, it's like you can tell us
really hot looking.
Well, not only hot looking, but they have. So there's some art that like is almost photographic and is great. Yeah, rah rah. But then there's other art that will always be cartoony, but yet it draws you in.
Oh yeah,
she has that going for her. Like if I was to be honest about my own art, I think I only achieved that maybe 30% of the time, where I feel like I'm really getting that cartoony but cool look. She seems to hit it every time. She's great.
Yeah. The frustrating thing is somebody will launch a campaign and they might not offer a cover, and then they'll launch like a campaign for, on a different platform, like maybe they'll have a Kickstarter and an Indiegogo, and then they'll have like her cover as you can only get it from that. It's like, well, why didn't you tell me that? That happened a couple of times to me. From what I recall, is that somebody had a book and I already bought it, and it didn't have, and it was from a campaign. Already backed it. It was from a campaign that didn't have Sashi's artwork. It's like, I'm gonna go with Sashi pretty much every time.
Yeah, to be honest, I've thought about contacting her and hiring her just for that purpose, because I believe her art alone can sell a book. But I haven't, because I think that might be manipulative. Are those all your trimmings or your books?
No, these are the chick tracks. These are all that I've done so far. I'm tired of doing
you got your own tracks. I remember you talking about that. You actually went through with it too.
Yeah, you're kind of making me want to do my.
I got them right here, Lorenzo.
I mean, I figured you.
That's that. Something you keep hearing is I'm stapling them together right now and folding them.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I figured. It wasn't like I didn't think you. What I mean, it wasn't like something that I thought you were like BSing me on. I just had completely forgotten about it.
So Diana,
the other day,
Diana is actually working on her writing. I broke out with a plot outline with her, and she's working on refining it into a script at this point.
Oh, cool deal.
It's going to be a child's book, the kind with like a page of art with a little bit of text under it all the way through. And I'm hoping my daughter will illustrate it, but if not, I'll end up doing it. But I'm hoping Krista will. It's going to be cool, though.
Is that a comic book?
No, it's going to be a kid book with cartoon, with comic in it, with comic art in it, to illustrate.
I thought comic art was only for middle-aged guys.
Well, we're going to expand it.
Oh, hey, my pills.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. A little tired, but
Or if I was deceptive sending out the link, I should have probably specified that it was Chris's show. But
I've been sending the link everywhere too. So welcome. If you don't want to hang, that's cool. If you do, that's cool. We're kind of bitching about politics and what's going on and talking a little bit about comics. There we go. Oh, Diana, there you go. She says it's a children's book with illustrations. But the illustrations, if I do them, will be cartoony. If Krista does them, they'll be more of typically a painted quality. Krista is our highly talented daughter. a graduate of Montserrat of college in Massachusetts, um, which has really not done as much as one would hope for her art career, but still, she's very good. And I know if she got, if we could get her to work in publishing, she would love it. She would love the success. But right now, she's doing commissions and for like album covers for independent artists and things like that.
Oh, that's really cool. I actually know a lot more about music than I do about comic.
Yeah, apparently it started with a couple of the guys that she knew in high school, but I think it's expanded. Mass has a decent independent music scene. It's not necessarily my kind of independent music scene, but they do have one, and it's well supported. She will in her time, says Diana.
What sort of independent music do they? I mean, because independent music can be any number of things. I mean,
right. So to me, independent has always been rock and roll, punkish, heavy metal.
Oh, I see.
Independent. However, as well as I do, that can also encompass like a alternative techno pop, or it could encompass a lot of things. But
yeah, it could be like indie, like kind of indie pop rock, or like math rock, or any number of things.
Basically, I'm an old stuffed animal. You got to remember that. Like if you were to ask me my favorite band, I guarantee you the top 3 come out of the 80s. So that should nail down like where my inspiration in music comes from. It's always been the 80s and probably always will be.
Oh, that's true. It doesn't even have to be like even like pop or rock, or it could be like some sort of electronic music or something. Nowadays, that's probably more what you can get.
Well, I'll say this, okay? I'll take any pop song from the 80s over any pop song from this generation of, say, the last 10 years. Because even in the 80s, you still had people who they had to be able to sing to make their songs. You still had musicians who had to be able to play to make the music. And now, not that I don't appreciate the digital era, but I don't like what it's done to music. And for the most part, I don't like what it's done for comic books either. But ironically, I do everything digitally, so go figure.
Yeah, I don't like some of the digital animation I see. Now, some of it's just looks like very similar to hand drawn stuff. I mean, they can make it that way if they, but a lot of it seems like it's very like overly simplified, and that doesn't seem to work out with many shows. I guess it does for like Adventure Time has kind of a deliberately a certain way. I think it really fits that. I haven't really watched much of it, but it seems to fit the theme of the cartoon. But
simple anime. Like I remember the Thundercats, which I still consider anime, even though it was American because it was drawn, overseas. But any of those simple cartoons were basically like flat, colors that were done in flats with, secondary shading. It was like all cell shading. And just that alone, you can get a great effect in animation, and it can even be brought into comics. But when you do simple art like that in comics, you have to be balls on every time. There's no variation. You have to really have your characters nailed down. And in anime, at least to me, boy, this will sound bad, but they all look the same. Or manga, like they all draw off of maybe 2 or 3 head styles, 2 or 3 eye styles, 2 or 3 nose styles.
That might be why there's these characters with all these weird looking hair, because you can like tell them apart that way. Otherwise they would all have it would be really hard to tell some of these characters apart if they didn't have if one didn't have like red hair or pink hair or whatever.
I've taken that into consideration while building characters. All my women look the same. I guess I better give this one blue hair and that one red hair. There we go.
I like how I'm actually I'm digging the style of a lot of the stuff I see a character and it's like, well, what a cool anime character, and then it turns out to be some mobile game character that actually and then what's going on here? It's like I keep seeing that again and again, and it's like, well, maybe I like these game characters better than I do anime characters.
Number 100, fellas.
Yay!
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Still got
So
a lot
I
more
have
to
to
go.
tell you the truth, Lorenzo. Oh crap! Never mind. Somebody else say something. I forgot what I was going to say. That distraction of the checkbook.
Was it about anime?
It
anime
probably
design?
was. Yeah. Shit.
Because I haven't watched a lot of anime or anime. I just,
Um,
I watched some stuff like back in the '90s.
Yeah. Well, until recently, the most anime I ever saw was an English version called Star Blazers of the what is that? The Yamato, I think they call it in Japan. I'm not sure. But then recently, like I've watched Akira, I've watched Alita, not the movie. Well, I have watched the movie, but I've watched some of the series from Japan.
Is that good?
It's all right. The thing about it is, you got to remember. Wait a minute. The movie was awesome, but the anime is more like an anime. Remember, like they have like these cheesy little storylines, but yet the characters get fleshed out in them, so I don't mind them. And they have the little, the sheepish voices for the girls, and the boy doesn't usually sound too masculine, but you can tell like it's some cool actor behind the voice. He has a good sound.
I like it when there's like a real badass sounding like a Japanese voice, like something you might expect from like I don't know if this would be how they used to sound, but like maybe like a samurai or something. This is really
Like when you say that, I'm thinking
voice.
Dragon Ball Z. Am I anywhere near that? Like the Dragon Ball Z kind of cast of characters when they get all gritty sounding.
yeah. That's that's what I would think of as somehow these anime boys are like very feminine a lot. I mean, a lot of time these days. Now, before there was a lot of weird no. Oh gosh, I want to be careful how I phrase things. I don't want to offend anybody. A lot of stuff that was very unusual for the West, like a lot of gender bending, like.
Well, do you remember
characters would suddenly turn into girl characters, or
do you remember a show? I think it was called Mark V.
Was that it?
It wasn't
familiar.
Hang on, and they had like the Phoenix ship there. Hang on, I'm looking it up right now. Let's see if I can find it.
Was that like a
Force 5 maybe?
Space-oriented one? Then
What's that?
was that one of those space-oriented ones?
Yeah, well, not really. No, they were Earth-based, and they flew around in a ship that could separate, and like they had different, forms of the ships. Hang on, I'm gonna find it here. I know I will. Give me 2 seconds. It was a cool thing though.
Yeah, I want to learn more about anime. Just like I kind of want to learn more about comic books. I didn't like. I was kind of. I've been looking into things for last couple years or so, but I have a hard time focusing anymore.
So these guys are the ones I was talking about. Battle of the Planets was the name of the cartoon, and yeah, I know this was anime, but this was one that I watched, and it wasn't presented as anime; it was all English.
Yeah, I think I might be interested in learning more about some of these older ones.
Well, this show was cool. It was kind of like Power Rangers before the Power Rangers.
And I think maybe we're a little oversaturated with anime. Not to say that I'm sure there's some great stuff coming out. I'm just saying that it's so popular, and there's such a loose definition that
I'm shocked they don't have the ship. I grew up. That was one of those things, when you're growing up, you might draw like I do a lot of the Star Trek ships. I do a lot of the Star Wars ships.
Yeah.
And this one here, I drew a lot of it too. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, this one.
Oh, that looks pretty cool.
This was a badass ship when I was growing up. I love this thing.
Yeah, it's got a cool design.
I can skip this ad in 3, 2, 1. Oh, I went to another ad. YouTube's been doing that lately, stuffing 2 or 3 ads in at a time. Let's see.
Yeah,
what-
I ended up paying money just to get rid of the ads.
oh, I see. This is someone's blog.
They call it YouTube Red, and now it's premium. What they call it?
Right.
Because I'd be playing music. I'd have a friend over. I'd be playing music, and then all of a sudden there'd be an ad start blasting out.
So that was pretty cool. Let me see if this opens a big version of that, because they showed the I don't even know what this is. I guess this is a commissioned art. Click to enlarge. So see that little white ship up there in the left corner of this little illustration, sort of? It would fit in the tail fin of the blue ship there. And out the nose would come another vehicle, and off the pods came 2 more, I believe.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And the guy right there with the blue mask shield, that was the leader. And it was just a fun little show.
Yeah.
And the only reason I brought it up was because that was like something I used to watch that was sort of anime related. But that was as a kid. That, and of course there was Speed Racer. Everybody remembers that.
I was trying to think of the name. Speed Racer. Yeah, that was kind of quirky too. I like that animation.
Oh, Voltron was awesome.
Yeah, I had to go over to a friend's house. I don't think we could get that on regular TV in my town. I think it was like, I don't know if it was on Fox or on the Super Station. Somebody needed cable or pay TV, because I don't know if like they'd have cable over in where Pickles lives.
Well, like I didn't like the new
Pay TV.
Netflix version.
Pay TV. What's pay TV?
TV you pay for.
Yeah, do you have anything like that, like a satellite stuff?
Oh yeah, we have.
Mini satellite.
We have like Freeview.
Huh.
Freeview.
Yeah,
What's that
it's like it's like basic channels. You know, you get your BBC, Channel 4, stuff like that, but you don't get like Fox or anything like that.
That's
It's
the
just
stuff
like the
that it's like it's I think kind of like public broadcasting,
Yeah, it sounds like it.
but aren't there like ads on the BBC? That's like a small number or not?
Ads on the BBC tend to be after a show, not during,
Okay,
and that's where TV license comes in.
yeah, because if you buy a television set, you gotta get a TV license. Is that how that works?
Yeah, we
Kind of like
pay
driver's
we
license for a
pay
car. Or,
You pay TV license because of the BBC.
yeah. No, did they go to like support Channel 4 as well? Do you know?
I don't think so. Channel 4 has adverts, so
Oh, it has. Oh, okay.
it's only BBC that doesn't.
No, our public broadcasting, we got this public broadcasting service, or I think is what PBS stands for. I think.
Yeah.
No, they don't call it an advertisement, but what they do is they have a show is like sponsored by, and sometimes they'll actually be sponsored by like a brand or like a name of a store. I mean, like a store or something like that. But they can't. I think the difference is they can't have a call to action. They can't say go out and buy such and such. So there's some limitations on what. But because officially it's like basically they donated money to this nonprofit company which runs PBS, but basically or something along those lines. But it's basically like an advertisement.
The individual channels got funding from the viewers also.
Yeah, they're. Yeah, that's the good point. It's like they'll even have things where they'll even have a period of time where they'll beg for money, and I had to do that when I was at the college radio station because that was a public radio station.
So, guys, I want to remind you that this is a mad rant show, and by reminding you that this country is under like total attack from within, should piss everybody off so we can get back to that a little bit.
Well,
I just want to say that.
It's the very first time I went out to vote, it was like I was disappointed that like there were people who it was like a couple decades ago, and it was like there were people running and they're unopposed, and it's like, well, I could have just run against that person.
Yeah, our school board is like
I would
that.
encourage everybody to find a local public office and run for it. If you're this unhappy, do something about it. I'm going to look into it. Shit, even if I become something stupid like the treasurer.
Yeah, I remember
Get in there.
several years ago there was somebody who was like who got elected in some town around here as a drain commissioner, and they were Green Party. You know, I don't know what the drain commissioner does exactly, but
Every election they can win gets them money in the next election.
yeah. And the thing is, I know that was a big thing for president was that if the guy, like, I think it was only like 5% or something like that of the vote, they could get matching funds.
Yeah.
For president, and so people are like, "Oh, you're throwing your vote away." Well, it all depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to get somebody elected president, well, maybe it is. But if you're trying to go for something else, yeah.
So in theme of anger, let me ask you guys, do any of you believe that your vote matters?
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point
No.
too. I always doubted it, but now I'm really at the point where I'm like, well, number one, I live in Massachusetts. They always vote Democratic, and I'm okay with that. But
And the
Mine's
local
not
system does, but on the federal level, not really.
Mine's not necessarily a bad thing, but my vote really doesn't matter because my state's always red. So it really doesn't matter who I vote for. Like, our state's always going to be, conservative.
yeah, our state, Massachusetts, is liberal, so it doesn't matter. It's always
I think ballot
Which-
initiatives are important, but I didn't.
I don't like conservatives, but I dislike Democrats more. My biggest beef with conservatives is, I hate to say it, 'cause it's going to make me sound like an atheist, even though I'm not, but the Bible shit has got to go. Stop trying to impose that shit on everybody else,
Yeah.
please.
The problem-
Yeah.
I do think religion should not have an effect on politics.
well, that's kind of a multi-problem there, though, because, well, number one, the American Christian doesn't understand, because they weren't trained to up until recently, that secular means, this is a government of the people, not of your religion. Now, it's okay for them to, as a politician, in my opinion, it's okay for them to be steered by their religious beliefs if they were elected, as a Christian by a Christian population, fine, whatever. But you don't have the right to push that religion into law.
Yeah.
It should guide you. Like, if there's a vote about something and you feel God would convict you not to vote for something or to vote for something, then by all means vote that way, especially if that's what your people would do.
Yeah.
But
I
don't
agree with
block
that,
the
but there
legislation.
needs,
Yeah,
when
go
you're
on.
stifling people's freedom, it should not be because of something that was written in a Bible that not all the people even adhere to.
Well,
Yeah.
remember the blue laws? Do you remember blue laws when everything?
Yeah,
was-
they got those down.
We still have
Well,
blue laws here. Like, you
Well, here's
can't
what
buy
places in South.
any
Here's
liquor
what
or
drives me nuts
anything.
about blue laws. Okay, blue laws, at least when I was growing up, were always explained to me. Well, it's like the Sabbath; you got to take a day off. But the Sabbath was never actually changed. So why the hell ain't it a Saturday? Well, it ain't a Saturday.
Yeah, it was
We
going to
do
be
church
Friday
on Lord's
night
Day.
at sundown or something if it was the Sabbath.
Right, but because we do as well, not officially, but as a Christian nation, because we generally worship the Lord on Sundays.
That's Lord's
That's
Day,
the
not
blue
the
laws
Sabbath.
show. What's that?
That's Lord's Day, not the Sabbath.
Right, but I mean, that's what they did. They basically followed the Lord's Day, and then when explained, it would be told to me as a child. I remember hearing this a number of times. Well, it's like the Sabbath. It's the Christian Sabbath. It's the day of rest because that's the day the Lord rose. I know all the little things they used to tell me, but if you get like logical about it, it's another thing where I find the Christian religion doesn't really understand what they're talking about, so they kind of get looking stupid. Like, okay, this will make me hated, but I get so conflicted inside when I hear Christians fight for Christmas and the December 25th thing. Because frankly, I don't believe he was born December 25th. I don't believe he was born.
Actually, technically, he was born more along lines of September.
Yeah, but exactly. My point is though, like the date December 25th came from a Catholic, priest who was trying to reconcile it to the winter solstice.
Well, they were trying to have what happened was I think Christians were attending. They were attending these different holidays, and so they would come up with Christianity came up with these different
alternatives,
to counteract it, so that they go to church instead.
So winter solstice was so big they had to put the birth of God there. In other words, Jesus Christ.
Well, that's when they mixed in paganism with Catholicism.
Well, yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, then it comes into the 21st century, and you have Christians fighting for a holiday that was created, and yet they're sincerely, like, I know Southern Baptist brothers who, if you tell them Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, those are fighting words. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
yeah, but it's not exactly fair to call it Catholic, because it's before the Catholic and the Orthodox and even the Assyrian Church of the East all split off. I think they all celebrate Christmas.
I thought that all came from a Catholic decree based on their Roman Julian calendar.
It wasn't just like it was before all these different. It was before the Protestant Reformation.
Oh yeah, it still came from the Roman Catholic Church, didn't it?
No, because the Orthodox Church we celebrate as well, and we consider the Catholic Church to be schismatic. So, and,
I don't remember enough about it. Maybe I'll look it up someday.
Well, it's just because because what I'm saying is it was practiced by the Eastern churches that are now considered Orthodox, as well as the Western churches are now considered Catholic, and it was before the Protestant Reformation. So it's before all these different before a lot of these schisms happened.
Yeah.
Nowadays we got like probably thousands of different forms of Christianity.
I've heard it, estimated at like 23,000 denominations or something like that.
I mean, there had been schisms and stuff like that, but it wasn't like it was today, where it's not like you look on a sign and it's Catholic or Lutheran or something like that. You just see I don't know if they might have had signs from churches. I'm saying if they had a sign, it would probably just say the name of whatever the local church was.
We're supposed to be angry.
Yeah, I still am, but I'm just kind of letting it fizzle a little.
Let me vent a little bit of anger that I have recently is that Congress can vote to give themselves a raise, and there is no possible way for me to even choose to withhold 100% of my paycheck from taxes.
Yep. You can't reprimand them. You can't stop their raises.
Yeah.
You can't even force them to lower their health care their package like they force us.
All right. But, it just aggravates me because I do agree with taxes to an extent. Like, I'm not an idiot. We do need roads. But we don't need to be sending, $10 million to fucking Pakistan for gender programs. That's one thing we don't need. And
which I actually read turned out to be a fraud.
But yeah, I went into my system at work and I tried to withhold everything. It would not allow me to do it. And that pissed me off more than anything else. Because then the thing is you really can't, beyond like taking some exemptions, you really can't control what you even give. But guess whose door they knock on when they take the wrong fucking amount?
Amen. You're right.
Like, that aggravates me. Like, every year I end up owing on state taxes, but I don't claim any exemptions. No withholdings. I give them everything if they want to take. And every year, it never fails. They're like, well, you owe us $25. I'll send them a $25 check, and then they'll send me a check for like $40. And I'm like, really? Are you guys this freaking inept?
Yep. Yeah.
Henry David.
Like, you're telling me I owe you money, but as it turns out, you owe me money. What? Just figure it out.
Henry
Why did
David,
I send that first check?
Henry David Thoreau, who wrote Walden, he wrote that Civil Disobedience that influenced the civil rights. Dr. King and stuff. He tried to not pay what he called war taxes, but then like the amount of money that would go to war. But then I think instead of him going to jail, I think his friends would just secretly pay it for him without seeking his permission. Hi, Gotham Knight. I'll send you the link as well.
I don't know. Taxation is stuff, though. If you're going to take my money that I actually need to put food on my fucking table and give it to Pakistan, then you don't need my fucking money.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest slap in the face to us as a people. We are hurting right now, and we weren't hurting just before COVID. We were doing quite well as a nation. And instead of taking all that fat that we had been gathering up and working, I don't know, it's like they sent money to almost every nation, and we all got paid off with $600.
Yeah, and another thing that aggravates me is some people are like, well, we owe those nations money. Well, you know what? Nothing is more American than not paying your bills, because guess what? All the people coming over to colonize the United States, we were all debtors. They sent the violent criminals to Australia. They sent all the debtors to the United States.
And President Trump went bankrupt a few times. I mean, his companies went bankrupt. And,
Nothing is more American than not paying your fucking bills, because that's how we ended up here, is because people didn't pay their fucking bills. But I tell this country, I said, fuck, come take it. We need it more than you. Fuck off. Get out of here. Our debt's clear.
Yeah.
I don't recommend doing that, but the fact is, if you've got a corporation, I think it's easier to go bankrupt if you have a for the company to go bankrupt, I think, than personal bankruptcy. President-elect Biden, I guess I'll call him that. Apparently he's president-elect now. So he went in. He's said to be tied into those Delaware state credit card companies. I mean, all those credit card companies they have in Delaware. He's like he went and he wrote a law that made it, or he pushed a law. I don't know exactly, but to make it difficult for people to file personal bankruptcy.
So, guys, I wanted to really crank up the anger and show this video real quick. I think this will work. Hang on.
Businesses on Main Street aren't
Oh,
wealthy.
it went too far.
Our focus will be on small businesses on Main Street that aren't wealthy and well connected, that are facing real economic hardships through no fault of their own. Our priority will be Black, Latino, Asian, and Native American-owned small businesses, women-owned businesses, and finally having equal access to resources needed to reopen and rebuild.
So let me ask you guys, is that racial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, but I doubt he's telling the
Our
truth.
priority will be Black, Latino, Asian, and Native American-owned small businesses, women-owned businesses.
Black, Asian, Latino, Native American, and women.
Well, he says all sorts of things to sound woke, but did you hear about his promise that he made to those wealthy donors that nothing substantially would change if he's elected?
Don't believe him.
Nothing. He's been in office, was it 40 or nearly 50 years, and nothing substantially has changed.
47
for the large
years.
corporations.
Here's the thing. He's not the boss.
He never was. He never will be.
No.
Harris isn't the boss. Yeah, she had so little money.
She's not
you would think
even the
she would have a lot
boss.
of corporate money, but she has so little money she had to drop out because she ran out of money.
Harris isn't
Yet
the
somehow
boss
she
either. They're
became
both
VP.
just compliant puppets.
She became VP after calling him a racial white guy on bus policy and racial policy.
Yeah, that's how that works. Is they gotta pretend like it's like all these large corporations. They all talk about how woke they are. Meanwhile, that's if they go and they pander, they suddenly either pander to this woke crowd, they can just, they don't really have to do anything substantially like different as far as how they run their businesses. Like they don't actually have to, they might not even have to really even hire, that many more minorities, or you don't have to do anything about income inequality or anything like that. And they can be a large monopolistic corporation, just as long as they sit, they're politically correct about it. It's like when Clinton would go and launch a war and he'd go and he'd use humanitarian excuses, or like Bush spreading democracy to the Middle East, or whatever,
Yeah.
I think it's just, I think it's a trick. It doesn't really help minorities that I can tell.
Yeah. Well, off topic, I got hungry, so if anybody gets one of these Chick tracts and there's like lasagna stains on it, just consider it a variant. It's collectible. Save it.
Yeah, I remember that.
This is Skinny's spitting lasagna all mixed together on my backside of my chair.
Unless you live in a very large city, then the rats will get to it.
Man, so like, what do you guys think next? How bad is this going to get? Because I'm wondering if they're going to kick me off Twitter. But I think Skinny said something on Twitter that makes sense. We're probably safe because we're irrelevant.
No, I didn't say that. I just said don't give up any ground, because I see some people just go ahead and leave, and I'm like, don't do that.
Because we've decided to go out and do something against the mainstream.
Because like, if everybody willingly
mainstream,
leaves,
so we are targets anyway.
Yeah, but they're not.
If everybody willingly leaves Twitter, they'll just say, "Oh, well, nobody was forced out. Nobody banned them. They just left and did their own thing."
Yeah, what are you going to do? Go to Parlor? That doesn't exist anymore.
That's why you need to stay until you get banned, so that way nobody can say that you left.
Exactly, and I'm what I've done is over past few years I've started signing up for different accounts. Not many, but I've also got a Minds account, which I'm using now that Parlor is not around.
Well, you know what I'm doing a lot of? I'm doing a ton of blocking, and I don't mean of people, but I'm blocking every ad they send through. And I figure if they can't monetize me through their ads, at least I can hurt them for like half a penny per click or something,
Yeah, I'm muting the ads.
I just blocked
pointless. I can tell you right now, Chris, I have blocked McDonald's at least 16 different times over the past 3 months. Because I've been blocking every promoted tweet I see for the past 2 years.
I don't think block works. You can still see something if you block it. I'm trying to mute those, things and see if that works, but very well it might show up.
I didn't know that. Maybe there's a limit or something, because I haven't had it affect me yet, but I don't doubt that it's ineffective overall.
I know that I still see people sometimes. I see their tweets if I search for it, if I block them. I don't know if I do that, if that happens if I mute them. Maybe it does.
But yeah, I don't know if there's a limit to how many things I can block at once, or they're going through and unblocking accounts on my behalf. I'm going to say it's the latter, though.
I used to have all sorts of people in Comicsgate and people who are on the social justice side of things, who are in so-called anti-Comicsgate, and all sorts of people blocked. And like thousands, so I don't think that's a problem. It very well could be that they somehow can get around it.
Like screw you, you're going to still see ads because we want to.
They can't stand the fact that I'm blocking all this revenue for them.
Yeah, but I'm sure they have ways around that. That's why you're still seeing Mickey D's. They're like,
I'm still going to do it too. I'm not giving up.
That's why I'm trying muting, because it didn't seem like blocking was helping. So I don't know if that works.
Muting? It must, because you did it.
Yeah, Gotham's got the link to the show. I'm surprised he doesn't come in.
He said he was going to sit in the rafters and watch, or he called himself a watcher or something like that.
Yeah. You don't mind
He's
me
into
giving
voyeurism.
giving him the link, do you?
No, heck no.
I
This
know
is
you usually
Mad
put it in the
Rant.
chat.
Even though we're quite civilized, let me remind everybody, I'm fucking pissed about what's going on with our country right now.
Yeah, because
And even though we
the
sound
snacking
friendly,
show, he just isn't in the link group.
well, here, let's do this. But yeah, seriously, I am really frustrated, pissed. Probably going to go through a little depression series thing in my own head because that's what I do. There's the link just posted in the YouTube. But this is very therapeutic for me to sit here with you guys and just kind of vent a little bit because I'll be damned. This country
It's
is
gonna
driving.
be okay, man.
Yeah, it's not like anything is going to substantially change. Is Wall Street still going to get rich? Or
No, but I'm very paranoid about like, okay, so it's always worked out. You guys are right in that sense. And it probably will again. You guys are right there too, in my opinion. But this could be the time when they finally kick in the government that locks us all down. This could be the time when they finally make their move into we go into factories and make machines that are going to actually, do everything because we're assholes who didn't.
it's pretty much already
Well,
happened.
take solace in this, Chris. If they come after me, I'm taking at least 5 of them out before I go to the gulag.
Oh wow!
I'm going to have to disavow. But the thing is, we're already had our jobs replaced here in Michigan. But I don't know. They might come up with a Patriot Act 2.0 type thing. They might not call it the Patriot Act. So they might call it something new. But to go and claim they're fighting domestic terrorism. I mean, there's been talk about that. I mean, that's a possibility because of what happened in Washington, D.C.
Chris, you cloned yourself.
Yeah, well, I got to step outside, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging.
But seriously,
You
that's
must be using one of those
the thing that
Dominion
could happen
machines.
is they could use this to pass some sort of new Patriot Act type thing. And also we're going to see a lot more censorship. I mean, Trump just got banned from several different platforms.
Shoot, they banned the platform. They just shut down Parler.
Yeah. But they've done things like that before. Was it Daily Stormer or one of those sites got shut down before?
That one I don't
You know what Parler should do? Is they should track down a bunch of these maps on Twitter and then use that in a case against Amazon and even Google and Apple as well.
Yeah.
Because they're allowing Twitter, a platform that, isn't ban happy when it comes to fucking pedophiles.
Yeah, they can't seem
But
to.
God forbid that the fucking right has their own little place where they can, do and say whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not downloading Gab though. I'll tell you guys, I don't fucking like Gab.
I don't even know what Gab is.
Yeah, they support censorship.
They're a bunch of anti-porn faggots.
That's what I get along with anti-porn faggots too, though.
I do until they start trying to infringe my rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem. They want you to live the way they do. No.
Because it's just it's the mirror version of what the left is doing, man.
Mm-hmm.
The right's just as into the censorship as anybody else. I mean, look at back in the 90s when they were trying to censor all those comics, and there were a few lawsuits against Danzig about the shit that he was putting out because they were labeled inappropriate or pornographic or whatever.
One of the highlights of my team was when Dee Snider stood up and went to Congress and chewed down Al Gore and stuff.
That was funny. That was funny. You want to know why that was funny? Because all the efforts backfired. Because all the efforts backfired. Every album that had the parental warning on it is the album that everybody wants.
Yeah, if you didn't have it on there, then that was the edited version.
No.
ultimately, I think that they're going to end up backfiring. This is all going to backfire on the left too. Just how long is it going to take? And unless this is it, I've always believed there's a point when America is going to just become like a monolithic damn overlord to the American people. If this is it, then we're screwed.
Oh, they're the people, the Trump supporters in DC. Some of them are actually copying Antifa. I'm not talking about the reports that there were Antifa disguised as Trump supporters, and maybe there was one or two of them, but it's very similar to the claim that there's all these Trump supporters are dressing like Antifa and causing all these riots, with the BLM protests. I have a hard time believing that, but I think there are people on the right who copy the left.
Oh yeah,
well, maybe vice versa. I think but I've also heard that there is a lot in common amongst populists. So I think that there's a lot of people who are populist, and they might not necessarily be left or right, or they might have elements of that, but places where they overlap. Just like those people in Washington, D.C., those politicians, a lot of them are corporatists, and so they might be a left-wing or right-wing corporatist, but there's a lot of overlap with them too.
Yeah, they're still corporatists.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they work for Chase Bank. That's the thing is, I think Trump seemed to have been like tightly connected, and so was Hillary, and so was Biden. So it doesn't.
Trump. The thing with Trump is he's not part of the establishment like the rich.
He's part. Well, the Chase is about as establishment as it gets.
No, I mean
he fought back on a couple of things, but barely. He had a bunch of neocons in his administration.
No, what I mean by that is he's not part of the the Clintons look down on him. People of the upper class look at Trump like he's some sort of brash little asshole.
Well, he doesn't have the same mannerism and he wasn't I don't know.
Get his fingers in all the same pudding as they do, but he's the guy that they're like, "Ooh, I'm not eating it after he put his finger in it."
Yeah, at the end of the day,
he's a guy that came in from the outside and just disagreed with everybody.
But he was perfect for the country for the last 4, and I'm kind of worried about what's going to happen.
Well, think about this. He had 4 years to do something about tech censorship. They had some hearings and stuff, but they didn't do anything. The Republicans could have done something. They could have.
Yeah, but
they could have broken up the big companies. They could have made it more like.
Here's the thing: you can't say that about Trump in the sense that the Republican Party has been half-assed the whole way, and by half-assed I mean they sort of support him, but they let him down time and time again. I'm like, dude, you
right.
You were a freaking minnow in a sea of sharks, and you didn't realize it, but you were surrounded by them, or maybe you did realize it.
But he signed an executive order TikTok was supposed to sell, and then no, they didn't. They just completely defied his executive order.
Yeah,
well, if we went and defied the executive order about mask bans, I mean not bans, but banning people not wearing masks in store, we might get arrested. But
look, if people
and I wear my mask and stuff, I'm just using that as an example.
If people had ignored any of Biden's any of Obama's executive orders, it would have been all over the news as they're white supremacists, blah blah blah, this and that.
Yeah.
No matter what the reasoning behind the ignoring the executive order, the fact is that generally executive orders aren't ignored. It's just that they decided they were not going to do as Trump instructed.
Yeah, a company that's allegedly tied into the Chinese government. And I think companies have to be in order to operate in China. I could be wrong. And then they own TikTok. They were supposed to sell it if they wanted to still operate in this country, and they didn't do anything. Which, I mean, they didn't have to sell it, but the thing is that the follow-up thing would have been to ban it from use in the country, not to go to the Supreme Court or whatever if they want to challenge it, I suppose. But there was no attempt at enforcement on Trump's end.
Oh, hang on. I'm transferring back inside. Hi, honey. Diana's on the couch watching a TV show, I think. Did I lose everybody? No, I still hear people.
I'm still here.
Yay.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating because there was I mean Trump could have just taken all the soldiers out of those countries that when he withdrew the troops, but that's what Obama had done. I thought the war when Iraq was over, I thought Obama had ended it, and so I'm surprised that Trump assassinated a general because some military contractor, or as they call him, mercenary, was supposedly killed. They never said the name of the guy. Never said the guy's name. We're supposed to believe he was this guy who nobody knows his name, but he was supposedly killed. And it was definitely by this general, even though it could have been ISIS or Al Qaeda. It's supposedly the Iranians. It's like, why do we believe that? Oh, but they wouldn't give the evidence as far as why they believed it.
So just to be clear, I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's the thing about this stuff. It gets so deep.
Oh, Soleimani.
I've never even heard of that.
Soleimani was assassinated. We almost went to war with Iran.
When was this? Was this in the recent, last 4 years?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think the only.
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah, okay.
From going to war was, I think, what's his name? Tucker Carlson said, warned on Fox that it would be very bad to go to war with Iran.
I don't know if it would be. The only problem with
any
Muslim country is Muslims are very united in their spiritual sense, and I think that they honor Islam more than they honor nationalism.
Well, Iran's Shiite, and that's different from a lot of Muslims are Sunni. But the thing is that he was on a mission of peace. He was going to have peace between. He was going to promote peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia, which could have actually led to some stability in the region.
But that wouldn't favor American. That wouldn't favor American interests, so they can't allow that. Saudi and Iran have to have friction, or else we can't have proper Middle East relations.
Oh, things would be fine, but we might not be able to take the oil off.
Exactly. You see, because one thing that's always mattered more than anything is the oil.
Yeah, because it could have actually been much better as far as world stability, global stability, or whatever.
F world stability. We need oil.
Oh, that's a cute kitten, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, that's not a
cat, right?
Huh?
You got your cat, right? Mine's scratching at the door because if I close my door, she scratches from this side. So I left her outside in the hallway, and she's pissed.
Well, this cat just showed up about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And we started feeding it, and then just the other day it actually let us get close enough to pet it. And now it loves us. But this is not a kitten by any means. This is a big fat fucking cat. This cat is huge, dude. Let me see if I can't. Look how fat this fucking cat is. And he just showed up. Hey, buddy. But yeah, I made him this little enclosure.
Does he use it?
Yeah, he's been using it.
That's cool.
I got a heating pad in there too because it's supposed to be getting really cold. So,
is that like a porch you're on?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's the porch. I got a bunch of crap up here, like amps and shit like that. Roll Tide.
Oh yeah, there's a football game on tonight. I don't know who's playing.
So yeah, that's my porch. But yeah, that cat just showed up, man. I don't know where he came from.
Now, see, I get cats, but I know where they come from. They're all my neighbors' cats.
I can tell he's been outside for a while because he's got like this big scab kind of part on the back of his neck.
Oh,
And he's kind of dirty.
Maybe he's abandoned.
Probably is, but he's really sweet and he's really fat, and I love fat cats. Like nothing makes me happier than having a fat cat. Like I want a cat that feels like you're picking up a sack of potatoes. Like
Yeah, if they're too thin, it's like a mangy street thing.
But yeah, fat cats make me happy, dude. Now I got a really fat fucking cat.
So you're
Named
gonna keep
Bruce.
her, right? Or keep them?
Yeah, I mean, I've been feeding them and I made them a shelter because it's supposed to be getting really cold. I'd love to bring them in, but let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dogs and another cat in the house already.
oh wow.
Well, they're little dogs for the most part. Like one of them's a pit, but it's mixed with a Chihuahua. So he's actually he looks more like just a really fat rolly kind of wiener dog kind of thing.
It's amazing that those two breeds could reproduce. One so big, one so small.
Yeah. So there's none of the dogs in the house are very big, but I don't know how this cat will handle the dogs or the other cat. So
Right.
I put Gotham Knights link in the private chat.
Does he have one? He wants to get in?
Yeah, it was a wide Biden lost the first time around.
Oh, wait a minute. Can you wrench? How do I wrench him? Let's see.
I don't know.
Oh, I know how. I got to go over to YouTube, don't I?
Yeah, can you wrench me too, please?
Hang on. Let me look at my YouTube here. I got to go over to YouTube, don't I? Hang on. Here we go. That was weird because I'm not sure how to do it. If I click here.
You right click on the person's name.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do now. There we go.
If you could wrench me too, I'd appreciate it. I wouldn't like use it to go around just banning people. I just would.
I don't care if you ban anybody. Right now, we're so small. Who are you going to ban? Say something so I can see your name, Lorenzo. Hang on. You got to type something in the chat or I got to find your name. Let's see. I missed it somehow. Gotham.
Were you waiting on me? Because I got held up. I was talking to Gramps for a second.
No, I'm looking to I'm trying to wrench Lorenzo, but I don't know where he is.
He's right here.
Yeah, but he wants me to wrench him, and I'm in YouTube. So I got to find him in the chat, but he's not saying anything.
Well, Lorenzo, just type in the damn chat, dude.
Yeah, brother.
He's got a duck out of this.
I would say that he didn't even earn the wrench, Chris.
He didn't earn it?
He didn't earn it.
Lorenzo, you're not earning it.
He's already sleeping on the job, and you're just trying to give it to him.
Sorry about that. What I did is I was trying to. I was running it, so when I opened the YouTube chat, I didn't want it to echo back. Sorry for
no wrench for you. No, I made you a moderator, bro.
Okay, thanks. I really appreciate that. That could come in handy.
I was just thinking of the soup Nazi from.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
No wrench for you.
Well, you know, I went and I rewatched part of it, and it did seem like they were kind of mean to the soup Nazi and did kind of provoke him.
Yeah, well, they treated him, it's New York, they treat him like idiots.
Yeah, and so, yeah, so like, especially Elaine seemed pretty mean to him.
Here we go. I'm back on StreamYard. I was watching it in YouTube, which is weird.
The only thing I don't like about StreamYard, well, there's a couple of things, but one of my biggest issues is that the chat that you see when you're in StreamYard is so far behind what's actually happening real time.
Yeah.
No.
Like I will even sit there while I'm on my own stream. I'll comment on the stream in the chat, and it'll still take forever for it to pop up in StreamYards.
Well, tonight when I came in, they said that they've merged with some other company and that they'll be doing faster service soon and stuff. So I'm assuming they mean some of that's going to be rectified. I hope.
I hope, but that
Maybe
also
hopefully the
means that
chat
are
will
they
share
going to
faster from
are
YouTube.
they going to get rid of the free version that I use, or are they going to charge you guys more who actually do pay for it?
If they charge me more, I'm dropping it.
Yeah,
I'm already considering dropping it. But
it's
now that
already
they've
too
got new
expensive.
features.
I hope
I'd
the
pay
YouTube
for it
chat
if I could have
will
a
go up.
set schedule for YouTube, but I can't with my job.
Well, I don't use it anywhere near its potential, but I like having the pay options. You know, it's just nice to know if I go over, it's no big deal.
I'm logged in right now. That's how I have that avatar. I log in so it's easier for me than uploading the avatar and adjusting it every time.
Right.
But yeah, hopefully they'll make it so that the YouTube chat shows up, you know, not like having to wait 5 or 10 minutes or however long it takes now, because somebody will type a message and by the time I reply, they might be gone.
Well, and they're also horrible with Facebook. It's just as bad with Facebook.
Yeah, I figured it was a delay with StreamYard in general, but yeah, that's good to know that both are delayed because I might want to use that sometime. I want to branch out and use different.
Well, they're not only delayed, Lorenzo, but one of the number one, they usually can't see what I type on Facebook. It works for some reason with Hero Shack, the page, but it doesn't work with my personal Facebook account. So, like, we've had people come in and talk their ear off, and I can't see a word of it. So we've had to do Diana kind of sitting in both chats, and that never works out well. So yeah, it's limited, and hopefully they'll fix it. But I don't anticipate it. I've been looking at doing OBC, I think it is, streaming through that, but I don't know how to connect everybody yet. If I could do a Google Meet through it or something, I would, but I don't know if I can. I haven't experimented. Because you can do most everything you can do with StreamYard and OBC, if not more, you know, with the overlays and all the background stuff. It's just StreamYard makes it so convenient to go to 3 different servers.
Right.
Oh, OBS?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, OBS.
I knew what you were talking about. I was
know.
thinking about OPP when you mentioned when they say that.
Done with OPP. Yeah, you know me.
Yeah.
Hang on. I think he wanted to share this link with me, and I never did. Here we go.
Yeah. It was like it was by. That was
All right,
hilarious.
so
Biden had to drop out the first time he ran. He dropped out in disgrace.
Yeah, he did. I remember that. But
First time.
since this is an anger stream, I am going to.
But it is from like the New York Times, so you might have to be careful with copyright.
Oh, I don't care about copyright. They can strike me.
Joe Biden.
It's June 9th, 1987, and then Senator Joseph R. Biden Jr. has just entered the presidential race. Look familiar? The 2020 race is Biden's 3rd attempt at the Oval Office. He first ran for president 32 years ago. For those who may have forgotten or weren't around in 87, here's what happened. Biden started off as a strong contender.
Senator Joseph R. Biden Jr. of Delaware.
But his campaign was marred by some early blunders, like this one.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is...
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect.
And he exaggerated his academic record in law school.
Back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class.
And then there were moments like this, repeated later during the campaign.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
But he never actually marched in the civil rights movement at all.
Whoops.
Ultimately, it was...
Oh, it looks like we lost Chris. Oh, by the way, he graduated, I believe, at the bottom of his class, not at the top. So exaggerating is even like that's actually not even strong enough of a term. He didn't just exaggerate; he just flat out lied.
Well,
Whoops.
Yeah, so he graduated, I believe, at the bottom of his class, not the top.
Yeah, and he's got a almost 5 year or 5 decades of lies. I mean, you can go back and he's just a career liar.
Oh, the funny thing was he was ripping. He had a speech he gave where he was ripping off like a British MP.
Yeah.
And then even Johnny Carson was making fun of him, and then he's like, but then Carson said something. And then he said the only thing to fear is fear itself, which was a joke because he plagiarist.
Well, you know what's going to happen though?
Yeah.
They're going to find out, and they being those who are supporting him, that he lies because he's going to lie to the country repeatedly as president. And then they're going to have to eat their crow for supporting him, you know?
Oh, well, they're not going to even pay attention, though, as long as he's eloquent enough, because they didn't pay attention when Obama, well, some of them did.
But I think what's going to happen
Trump
is they're not,
narrative.
but they're not going to do exactly what the far left wants. There's going to be a little give and take, but there's going to be points where they're just going to step all over the rights of people. And some will, just go into the fetal position and take it. But some of those left wingers are going to get pissed off.
Well, they already went in there. They're already screwing over Sanders. But Sanders didn't make Biden make any concessions before endorsing him. So same thing with Tulsi. Now they're so basically there was some task force was all that Sanders got out of it was he had some people on a task force, and the task force didn't go anywhere though. And it's just as if you look at who's who's on the transition team and who Biden wants to have in his cabinet, it's a bunch of wealthy. It's just a bunch of, well, I don't know if they're wealthy, probably are, but they're a bunch of corporatists, is what I mean.
They ain't had nobody broke in Washington D.C. since AOC. And she ain't broke no more.
No, even AOC, she's flip-flopped on things. Basically, she's saying a bunch of she's using a bunch of rogue identity politics to, using a lot of politically correct rhetoric to cover up the fact that, she supposedly opposed Nancy Pelosi when she got elected. Now she opposed the line. They didn't even have a vote. They wouldn't even there are some people, and I don't think it's necessarily a good idea, but some people are wanting Medicare for all. I think it'd be better if we had something like they have in Israel, where it's nonprofit healthcare companies that compete against each other. I'm just saying that they didn't even demand any sort of concessions for Pelosi and the so-called squad or Justice Democrats. None of them.
Well, they will though. We heard the circumstances and who they're going to support. It's going to be blacks, Asians, Latinos, Native Americans, and women.
Latino.
Yeah.
They're going to. I don't think they're really going to support.
Oh no, that's what they said. You're green. You're screwed, buddy.
When has Biden told the truth? When has he ever told the truth? except for maybe about helping the wealthy.
But here's the thing. Let me ask you. Do you think it's Biden running the show, or do you think it's Kamala and the liberals behind him?
I don't think anybody. I don't think there's any. I don't think it's. I think the same people are running the show that ran it when Trump was in office. To the best of their ability, and then when Trump wouldn't go along with it, they wouldn't go along with each and everything. When he went and briefly threatened the military-industrial complex.
You might be right there because I do believe in a shadow government.
Because he went and he questioned our role in NATO, I think. But it's not like he did much to, he actually bragged about dropping a gigantic bomb, like the largest non-nuclear bomb in Afghanistan, and the gigantic hole, gigantic crater left. I mean,
who bragged about that?
Trump did. You know, it's like
Well,
Trump.
they're not going to remove Biden from office because now that they have Kamala Harris to break all the ties in the Senate in their favor, they're not going to
Well, that's
jeopardize
true.
that.
That is a strategic issue for them because they need her to do the Pence thing, so she can't become president. Although, if she became, let's say they put her in as president, wouldn't they be able to put any Democrat in as VP?
No, she'd have to nominate one.
So the thing is,
But I mean, she'd just nominate whoever.
One, and then whoever she selects from the, let's say, the Senate, wherever that senator came from, that state will have to host another election. They don't want that.
They don't just move the speaker up or anything.
I thought they did.
yeah, but the thing is, I don't. The thing is, people want. People like
no.
People
See,
like
I'm not well versed enough in all this to know one way or the
Yeah,
other.
but Biden's in office because as long as he just stays in the basement, everybody's happy. Because it's like how the people went out to see all those Star Wars movies, even though they sucked, and they want nostalgia, and so they want this idea of somebody who was in the Obama administration being in office, just as long as they don't have to hear from him, because I think that's when his ratings go down, is when he actually talks. But as long as Biden's in the basement, they're happy.
Yeah,
and I don't think Kamala. I mean, as I said, she had to drop out in disgrace, and she had. I mean, I think the deal is that the people behind the scenes, like the FBI and the military-industrial complex, the CIA, all that, they'll be in charge like they always are.
I don't know. You might, you could be right.
Well, it's never been different my entire life, except for occasionally Trump would go and speak out against something, and then he'd get impeached, or something would happen, and so then he would go and. Remember, a lot of the time Trump had people like that Mad Dog Maddox, and just like people of course, like, and who was that guy who looks like Yosemite Sam?
The one that turned on him.
Yeah, a bunch of these people turned on him because he went and picked a bunch of neocons. I mean, early on in his administration, he did have somebody who was like alt-right. I mean, he had what was that guy's name? They're trying to make him seem like he was a neo-Nazi or real, extreme alt-right.
There were so many of them, though. I couldn't even begin to guess who it was.
Steve Bannon, earlier on, he was somebody who actually was genuinely anti-war, and then somehow he ended up not being in the administration. I mean, he was somebody who was actually different, like definitely was like some sort of alternative form of the right. I don't think he was really a fascist.
I don't know, the alt-right thing is so overused anymore. I'm not even sure what that's supposed to mean.
I'm saying he wasn't a neo-Nazi.
Right, but was he?
I don't think he was.
I mean, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, can I trust anything we hear anymore? Like, unless I meet these people, how do we know?
Well, the media was trying to claim he was a neo-Nazi. I don't think he actually was. I think that was an exaggeration.
I think it's
no, the media would never do that.
Never trust a politician.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bannon might have had, who knows? Bannon was controversial, but I don't know exactly why.
Well, you know what they say about Banner, right?
Banner?
You wouldn't like him when he's mad.
Oh, that's Bruce Banner, yeah.
Who's the guy who shit himself on national TV?
Who did?
You wouldn't like me when I was younger.
The Hulk? Hulk can't always take you to the bathroom.
The Hulk shit himself?
I will never
That's why he's always
that.
mad.
How you shit yourself on national television and tell me that you have authority over me? At least I can control my own fucking bowels, man.
Did Biden shit himself?
Yeah. No, it wasn't Biden. I forget who he is, but
Well,
I
actually,
forgot
we
who he
don't know.
was.
So we
I
don't
just
really know
never-
if Biden has shit himself.
Didn't Biden have some sort of aneurysm or something like a vessel in his eye bursted or something?
Biden wears Depends, so it doesn't matter if he shits himself. We'll never know. But that one guy definitely wasn't because he had to waddle off stage.
Oh,
And that Taco Bell came back on him.
So Biden's eye, like his eye, filled with blood on CNN town hall supposedly in 2019.
that might have been when Satan entered his mind.
I don't know.
I think he was there already.
First of all, Satan wouldn't enter his mind. It's a very scary place.
See, I don't think they really want Harris because, she's just not very popular. She's
Well,
just
you
not
say
very-
that,
she
and
do
I
well
would
at all.
generally agree, but somehow she ended up vice president, you know? So there's something going on.
We know why. That was just that was just to go and to pander to the people who to pander to white suburbanite women who think that they're woke because they're supporting diversity or whatever. Okay, that sounds real racist. Sorry.
No, but it's kind of true.
But I don't think necessarily. I'm not sure how many actual minorities support her. It would be interesting to see, because I think it's really because I think the whole plan was to win back these white suburbanites that.
Well, I think without a doubt, the people who her parents or her grandparents owned, those minorities backed her. They thought that her granddad was really nice.
Oh yeah, I forgot that she's descended from slave owners.
Yeah, but they said that her granddaddy was a really nice slave runner.
Yeah, he is one of the good ones. I think the main reason why she's in there right now, it doesn't even have to do with demographic at all. None whatsoever. She's in there because they called her Heels Up Harris, which means that she will do anything for money.
Yep.
She is compliant. That's why she's in there.
Oh, true. Yeah, she left those people, and there were people who were supposed to be left, supposed to be let out of prison. And I think people had actually been exonerated, and she wanted to keep them in because of prison labor. And then they had to take her to court in order to get her. I think more than once in order to get her to release people. And that was her as a prosecutor. That was her record as a prosecutor.
Just like her slave owning ancestors, she's putting black men in chains, and nobody fucking cares.
And she's got them all fooled too.
Yeah, they're all voting for her.
Yep.
Fucking idiots.
I wonder if it's a case of simping.
No, she's not that good looking.
Yeah, but American
I'm
men
not gonna say she's not attractive because she is, but she's not attractive.
Nah.
I like how she had a problem with I don't know if it's exactly lying or what. I mean, she's like or she just remembered wrong. But remember how she listened to that Tupac album before Tupac even released it?
Oh yeah.
Hey, we got
high and listen to Tupac before Tupac even was.
Yeah, no, she's just got friends in high places.
She's got a time machine. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, she is a Democrat, so they have magic power.
Or maybe she knows something that we don't. Maybe she knows that Tupac is still alive.
I kind of believe that.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in the basement
go back into
with Joe.
time to denounce the crime bill that Joe Biden put in place.
Well, hasn't she renounced that when she was campaigning, and yet?
Oh, I think she called him a racist. And then she said, "People, people say things like that when they're in debates."
Yeah, she called it debating. It was just debating.
Well, she's a master debater.
No, but
I can see she
upheld his crime bill.
I think she likes debating. She is a master debater. I hope you were making a funny joke because I'm still laughing about it.
Yeah, I hope it's funny.
Yeah, I'm still over here.
I haven't. I wasn't the first person to use that ton to refer to people.
All of their arguments.
Sorry, Terry.
That is until some 5-year-old comes up and shoots down all of her arguments.
Yeah, he should have debated a 5-year-old.
No, I said the 5-year-old shut down all of her arguments.
Yeah. The funny thing is, Tulsi was able to very easily shoot down her arguments. I mean,
Tulsi was a better
pretty
candidate.
bright, though. Huh?
Tulsi was a better candidate. So was Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, any number of that's the thing. Even Bernie, and he's got some things
Bernie
I definitely think I definitely disagree with.
You know Bernie's a socialist, but he's a better candidate.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, it would have been good to see Trump and I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No, I said it twice. The Dems threw him under the bus.
Oh yeah, see that's the thing is it could have been that everything could have been up on the up and up on the day of the actual election, but there's definitely stuff going on in the primaries, the primary in Iowa in particular. There was that app that malfunctioned and happened to malfunction in a way that harmed Bernie. And then when I think they did a hand recount or something along those lines, and when Bernie won, then the media was like, "Oh, but he didn't win by as much as he should have," and all this stuff, just trying to minimize his victory, And so definitely something funky going on there. And it turned out that these establishment Democrat candidates had ties to that app they used to tabulate the votes. So something weird was going on, and But the thing is, I don't know. I suspect all that stuff's done ahead of time. I'm sure there was stuff on election day, but I wouldn't be surprised if, because of all the shenanigans ahead of time, and because of all the propaganda and the censorship of, censoring Republicans and Trump, I wouldn't be surprised if Biden really did win by a landslide. But because of all these other shenanigans that happened before election day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting. I hope that's kind of an interesting take on things, because I think that maybe because all these judges went and rejected Trump's appeal, maybe it wasn't as large scale as far as the corruption as I thought. Maybe Biden did win, maybe not by as many votes as they claim, but maybe he did. Maybe he did actually win, but maybe a bunch of things happened ahead of time.
Well, wait. So here's the thing, okay? Trump has made a lot of outlandish claims that were actually true in his last 4 years. Like when he said he was wired, or when he said that there would be a vaccine, and all this, all these little things, the only thing I remember him being explicitly wrong on was Mexico didn't pay for the wall. There were surely tons of other things, but like his big soundbite moments, he's generally been honest about, even if he hasn't been able to express it. I think he said this election was rigged. I think he knows that it was rigged. I think eventually we will know it, because the press will eventually, somebody's going to eventually break and report it. But up to the time when Joe Biden is actually president, they are fighting it tooth and nail. But I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year you hear next on 60 Minutes, the election fraud that we were lied about.
I think that there was some fraud going on. I just don't think it. I think though that what happened ahead of time was more important, like the censorship. And I think we need. And I think we need. And I also thought that maybe they should have focused more on winning Georgia than trying to help.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is
you
just
know,
like
they
Started
lost
before all that. Like this all got messed up when they started running through the courts, election law changes instead of state legislature.
right.
This is like in Georgia when Stacey Abrams' sister was the judge who ruled on a very controversial allowing people to vote when they had moved out of Georgia still or some crap. I don't know. There was a case
Yeah.
up and the Abrams sister took the case in court. It's like, wait a minute, you're not going to recuse yourself? Like just maybe, even if you know every other judge in the building is going to vote the same way or go the same way, you're not going to, just for appearances, pretend that you're not part of the same family and you know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense.
You didn't.
Hey, Gotham,
Yeah,
God bless and good night, brother.
Yeah, I think that my big thing is that I think they should focus more on reforming our election laws, because if they could go back and forth, and like the thing is, the more Trump focuses on this, the more he's just going to end up looking like Hillary Clinton.
Who? Trump? Have we really heard anything from Trump since the 6th? Because I think he's been I think we're going to find that he's going to be very compliant next time we see him.
Trump sort of incited a riot, not exactly. In fact, there's enough wiggle room to say he just kind of stirred things up, but he was actually kind of careful not to directly incite a riot. So
I just, you know what, I don't think he incited one. I think you have to stretch it to beyond proportions to say that, only because like he would have to come out and say, all right, citizens, let's march into the Capitol and take this government over for me to say he incited it.
He kind of suggested that maybe they should do something, but he didn't really go into detail about, like, because I do think they actually are going way too far, claiming that he, their excuse for trying to ban him from all these platforms. Because I don't think, or even the excuse to try to impeach him, I don't think what he did anything that's necessarily, impeachable.
He didn't.
I never thought he did.
I think maybe he kind of got people a little riled up, but he was kind of careful in how he said things, so that he wasn't directly advocating that. He didn't say go down. Yeah, he didn't go to the Capitol and take it over. He definitely didn't say that. I'm just saying he did say something the other day, and then the day after that, he went and he.
But when you encourage someone to exercise their rights, they're going to do that. How far they're going to take it is beyond your control.
And then the very next day, he basically conceded. He didn't exactly use those terms, but he talked about a peaceful transfer of power. So I consider that a concession speech.
Well, the thing is, he was saying that he would leave and there would be a peaceful transition, but he wasn't going to concede because he knew there was cheating, which like the media wouldn't accept. It was either you concede and get the F out, or you're just trying to stir trouble up.
I mean, you seem pretty upset about what Trump did, the other day when you're on. Has your opinion changed?
Which thing did he do the other day to upset me? I'm not sure.
I thought you were just thinking that he should just kind of concede and move on.
I was low at a moment. I'm not saying he should concede. I just always wish Trump would shut up and think before he talks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And this thing, like at this point, I think it's over. I don't think he's getting back into office this time around. No matter what they prove. And no matter what they can prove,
running again, though.
There is something
in the Constitution where they could probably ban him from running again.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do that without an extreme measure, but I would be more worried about the younger Trumps.
Draw up articles of impeachment to do that. But the thing is, because of the current situation, that's going to be hard to do.
Well, there's something besides impeachment. There is a way of going, and all they need is like a simple majority vote, and they could ban him from running ever again. But that would be kind of a moot point. And and what you're saying, Chris, is there's going to be other Trump. People are saying that he's permanently changed politics.
He did.
You know, and so it's basically all the kind of this fake civility and all this BS is gone. I mean, I guess they could have somebody who can be all slick and Obama acting, you know, but I think that
Mhm.
I think you know. I mean, even look at Biden. He's kind of off the cuff with things. You know, if people challenge him and tell him to go and just ask him a question, and he like call him fat, and then challenge the guy to push-ups, or he tell people to go and vote for the other candidate. You know, so it's not like I don't think he's much different than Trump when it comes to that. He could even be kind of worse in a way.
Well, we'll see what happens when he gets the power, you know?
Yeah, that would be the thing is if he did that too much, then they could remove him from power.
Well,
but as long as he's in the basement, I think they're happy with him.
No, I think he's gone regardless, no matter how you guys look at it. I think ultimately he's gone.
It's possible, but I think as long as he's in there, he kind of reminds people of Obama, and they seem to have forgotten why they. Well, some of the people ended up voting for Trump, but the thing is that I think Trump maybe with the pandemic and everything, they wanted this idea of this person being in there who had more experience. I mean, it's a worse kind of experience that Biden has, experience making things worse.
No, I think if Biden won, it was only because of Trump hate. It wasn't because Biden's good at anything.
I thought it was because I thought it was as long as he kept his mouth shut, it kind of remind people of Obama, because it was Obama who got all those other candidates to drop out of the race and endorse Biden. I guess that was behind the scenes, though. I thought that the whole Biden thing was because there was this idea that he had experience, whereas Trump, people had voted for him. Some people had voted for him just to kind of shake things up in Washington, and then now with the pandemic, maybe they didn't want that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's really hard to tell. You know, might take a while to go and see exactly what happened with this election. It took me a long time to figure out how Trump got elected, and a lot
okay. So I'm gonna be totally honest, and I'm glad we have only one viewer, but I seriously think when they finally break this down for everybody, Trump won by a landslide. I think the reason that Biden can't seem to draw a huge crowd, the reason that people aren't behind him is because they never really were. It's just they hate Trump so much that, you know, they're like, whatever.
Yeah, did you say that they could have voted for a ham sandwich instead of Trump?
Yeah,
I think that could be the thing, is that there could have been a bunch of people. What they had is like in Michigan, they went and changed it and made it so that people it wasn't automatic in the mail, but they made it so easy for people to go and get like an absentee ballot that anybody could get one. And then they might just vote not exactly for Biden, but technically for Biden, but against Trump. And that was like how many ago they got the law changed, you know.
The problem is how many votes are they casting per person? How many of them are alive? And the thing that kills me is you hear this all the time, or you were hearing it before it got totally overblown by this insurrection. But the thing I heard all the time is, well, it's not widespread, or it's not enough to affect the outcome of the election. And to me, that's not the point. I'm like, F it. If Biden's going to be president, fine. I want to know how many votes were swapped by a computer that we're supposed to trust.
Well, they
I want to know
hand recounts.
What's that?
They did do a bunch of hand recounts. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, what in Georgia, right?
In a bunch of states, there were. I think it was in a bunch of states.
I have no idea. I remember the Georgia one.
Here in Michigan. I don't know. Maybe.
But when you mix in possible mail fraud, when you mix in Dominion servers, which I'm sorry, I have no faith in the company. If they're slandered, I'm so sorry, but I will never trust a freaking Dominion server again.
Tulsi Gabbard said that that there was a law that was, a bill that had been proposed previously that would have been so that these voting machines there had to be a paper trail and all this stuff. And I guess I don't know what happened, if it didn't pass or didn't. What happened? But she said that they had a bill
remember, somewhere in leadership, whether that's in the Senate or the House of Representatives or both, or the president, whatever, people who know what's going on are fighting to keep these machines in because that's how they got elected.
Well, the thing is, yeah, it benefits Democrats too, I'm sure. Otherwise,
Well, I'm sure it benefits both of them, but like the thing with Trump is, I think what they found with Trump is Trump won't just play along with it. When Hillary didn't get the victory in 2016, she was quoted as saying, "They're not going to let me have this." And I remember when I read that quote, everybody assumed that she was talking about like, white supremacist, white men, blah, blah, blah. I think she was talking about the establishment wasn't going to give her the victory, which tells me that the elections are probably been rigged since freaking computers could really get involved.
Oh, I think that like the FBI wanted anybody but Trump in there. Like
what?
Remember the FBI? There were FBI.
Wait. The FBI?
Yeah, remember that there was an FBI agent.
No, I'm going to be incredibly sarcastic because I have no faith in the FBI.
No, the FBI under oath admitted that remember there were emails that got leaked, and they had to admit under oath that they were trying to. I think it was like the second in command at the FBI. It had tried to make sure that Trump would be somehow not be able to be president.
The FBI?
Yes, it's the same people who try to. Yeah, it's like they didn't want that to come out that they were plotting against the president.
For me, the FBI died when Elliot Ness's show was canceled.
Elliot Ness?
You don't remember the old FBI black and white TV show?
Oh. Yeah. No, I don't.
The Untouchables, yes.
Oh, The Untouchables. I think I've seen some reruns of that.
Then, the FBI has become nothing but a shill for propaganda. I mean, ever since we should have known when they said Clinton obviously did things that were improper and potentially illegal or illegal. I think Comey actually said it was illegal. But to turn around and then say, but no serious, prosecutor would take this case. I'm like, so give it to someone who's not, sensible and serious. Give it to someone who will take the case, because I would take the case. If I could sue her personally for that, I would have. What's that?
You and about a half a dozen others would take that case.
Heck yeah, I'd gladly finance that crap.
Do you remember how there was that whole Russiagate investigation, the Manafort guy, he ended up getting convicted over something that happened years ago, but a couple other guys got convicted because of just basically the FBI entrapped them. Or one guy actually
wasn't Flynn one of those guys that was entrapped? I think General Flynn was supposedly entrapped.
One of the guys. Yeah. One of the guy was he the guy who was pardoned, because the other guy ended up remembering a date on the calendar wrong. It was just turned out like it was a week or two off or something, and I think he just didn't remember correctly.
Yeah,
that's what they do. I think they try to get people to accidentally say something wrong under oath.
See, here's the problem with the whole scenario for me. FBI. Anything FBI touches, I now look at and say, I don't even believe it if it favors me. They're up to some sort of mind ops.
Yeah.
They're effing with their minds.
Besides the FBI. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
They're just disgusting to me. They do nothing more than twist situations. It's like when that guy in the Olympics that were in Georgia, the one they were chasing down for the bombing, and it wasn't him.
Jewel.
Yes. It's shit like that. The FBI, why is it they're always like reporting about information they had but didn't use? Why is it like, we always hear about how bad something was, but it's not prosecutable, or how bad something was, but they didn't feel they should release it because of elections. And
that sounds pretty fishy. I'm just saying, besides the FBI and the CIA, there's a bunch of other organizations.
I'm just going off on an anger tangent because I'm very mad at the FBI. And since you brought it up,
USAID, they're the ones who actually they were bragging on their website about how they were interfering in the Ukrainian elections.
Yeah.
Not the last time. Well, I don't know. I didn't see it the last time around, though they very well might have been. I'm just saying before when they got that billionaire chocolate tycoon was elected president, the previous president, they used to say they were saying on their website, and I think they might have removed it now, but they were talking about how they were funding media outlets in Ukraine, and they also mentioned something about elections, supposedly to make sure there were free and open elections, but they're whenever the U.S. is interfering like that, it's actually called USAID. It's a quasi-governmental organization. It does. I mean, so it's not officially part of the government, but it's kind of like the post office. It's somewhat autonomous, but then it answers to the State Department. And USAID was said to be behind that whole revolution there. They call those color revolutions, and some people suggest we just had one in our country. And again,
we did have a revolution recently.
Or all the things leading up to the election, all the propaganda and stuff, like all this tech censorship and stuff. That does seem to be part of some color revolution thing going on in our country, just like the former Soviet Union.
Yeah, it's just whatever they're doing, they're trying to like terraform the political atmosphere of America. Wherever they're headed, it's not going to be the freedom, that we used to know. And I mean, I'll just say this openly. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I don't think we're safe. I think we're done. I think Trump was actually a wild card that sort of exposed that there was more going on than people wanted to believe.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's truly stopped anything. I think he just was a bump in the road. And like when it comes right down to it, the fucking Supreme Court refused to hear any of these arguments. We had a point when Texas and multiple states were suing Pennsylvania and other states for irregularities in their voting, and they were told, shut the F up, we're not taking the case.
Pennsylvania was suing itself too. Don't forget that. The legislators were going all in too.
And yet court after court said, no, we're not going to hear it.
Well, I don't think all those judges are necessarily conspiring together.
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, fuck, yes, I do. We are in a time when somebody in the dark shadow government just makes a phone call to whoever judge is residing over whatever case and says, you're not going to hear it. And he goes, okay, sir.
I don't think that many judges would go along with it.
Oh, hell yes, I do. These judges are no better than anybody else. And I used to hold them up on pedestals, but they let, for example, white rapist young men go when they get caught red-handed, and they'll throw a black guy in jail for, a dozen years for selling a joint in front of a store. And I'm being a little bit of, I'm throwing hyperbole there, but the judges are so irregular and they're so biased sometimes that it's so blatant. I'm like, I'm not going to put any faith in them. The only thing in government I put faith in is that they usually build decent buildings.
I wouldn't be surprised. So way back when Eisenhower was leaving the White House, he was warning people about the military-industrial complex. So it might have been starting I think maybe after World War II, this military-industrial complex, or starting with World War II, has been in power. Behind the scenes running the show.
I don't doubt it. But I mean, okay, so to that end, when you compare that to Trump, Donald Trump is just a real estate mogul who had a lot of money to start off with, so it was a little easier. He was way ahead in the game, and he's a brash white guy. To me, Donald Trump has always just been Archie Bunker and Richie Rich blended together, thrown in the White House. Not Hitler's child, not Stalin's, baby, not Putin's bitch. He's just a white, spoiled, rich brat.
True.
And it's like they've turned him into. It turns my stomach when I hear people and how much they hate him, and the miseducation that is spewing out of their mouths, which you can't even counter. Because if you say, well, now wait a minute, why did you say that Trump is a racist or whatever they might, be accusing him of today, they get offended. If you defend him, well, you're a Nazi or you're a racist or you're a white supremacist. Yeah. I've never wanted to be a black man more than when I'm talking about Trump, because people put your race so far ahead of it that's like, I can't even have this conversation because you can't see past my skin color because you have a racial issue. You know what I mean?
But there's also a thing where when I criticized him, people just assumed I was a Biden supporter. It's like, well, wait a second. Why would I? Yeah, it's like this dichotomy. You're either this or you're that.
No, I think you're an altrusion, so you don't really give a shit. You just kind of.
Well, I didn't find either of them to be. I couldn't really stomach voting for either of them. I do think Biden's probably worse, but I don't think Trump was. I don't think Trump was as good as people thought. I think he just kind of briefly. So, I think what happened is he just kind of briefly went and spoke out against the military industrial complex. Like he said, well, I want to take the troops out of Syria, but the military industrial complex doesn't want it. And that took him a while. It took him months to even, I think he even tried to do that. And then he tried to do that, and it turned out that the military was lying to him about the troops.
There's no doubt. There's a lot more going on there than we know.
Yeah, it turned out they were lying to him about the troop reduction, that they hadn't reduced troops, and still he didn't remove all the troops. I think this what's going to happen is they're going to end up putting the troops back in there.
Well, we ultimately saw as a population, probably more than anything, that the president isn't what we thought he was in terms of executive in chief or whatever they want to call him, commander in chief. Because the government will just outright ignore him on multiple levels, whether that's municipal, state, because we've seen mayors chuck the finger to him several times now. When he wanted to defend a courthouse in Portland, was it? They were like giving him the finger saying, we don't want you defending your own courthouse.
Well, that was the hilarious thing was when that mayor was like, it's like there's these fires they're trying to set a fire to the building, and he's being like tear gassed, I think. And then, he was being tear gassed, and he was like, oh, this is perfectly fine. And the people are just yelling at him to F off and all this stuff. Or, I don't know.
Have you seen
they're yelling, but they wanted him to leave.
Recently, one of those mayors, and it's probably the mayor of Portland, I can't really remember, he spouted off that enough is enough, and they've got to stop, and time is now to stop.
Yeah, I think that might have been him.
Yeah, now that Trump is definitely getting out of office, they're starting to calm down. The problem is now the Democrats are trying to impeach him because he might release something that's going to be very uncomfortable for all of them. And here's the thing. I don't think just getting him out of office is going to be enough. I think they're going to make him a vegetable. They're going to replace him with an actor, or he's going to have an unfortunate accident soon.
Well, he already is an actor / vegetable.
No, I mean, they're going to do something to him. Like they're going to do the whole zombify him, and he's going to come out very
It's already happened years ago.
No, you know what I mean, though. He's going to come out, and everybody's going to look at him and go, what happened to him? That's not Donald Trump. And yet it looks like him. It sounds
I thought you were
like
talking
him.
about Biden.
Like him.
I thought you were talking about Biden. It's like, oh yeah, he's already kind of.
Oh no, Biden is an animatron, man.
I like whatever Terry's drawing.
It looks like a sword and sheath of an Asian variety.
It's a back cover for my comic.
Nice. I've been sketching out what I'm working on now. I think I guess I can tell you guys, we don't have a lot of viewers. The what would you call it? I guess the project name right now is Streets of Omnidam or Omdamne, but because it's so hard to say, it's actually going to end up being called Cluster Fudge. And that's all I'm revealing right now. But I need a title that I can stand behind and feel good with. And I want to get out of the 13 and under market with my books.
Yeah.
I'm going to take an edge. The first story arc is in Native America, long before white man found the shore. And then it goes to colonial times, and then it comes to modern times. But yeah, cluster fudge. I don't know. You know what, guys, though? I have to work early in the morning, and it's It's only 10:45, but I do need to get to bed. I hear the wife.
Well, I appreciate you streaming and letting me hang out while
Hey,
you guys
bro,
are
I
definitely.
appreciate
I know
you
I
guys
hadn't been
coming and letting
talking a
me
lot
rant.
lately.
Thanks for
But
having me on when I'm in my cartoon squad car.
I like your.
Not an officer in the human realm. Otherwise, I mean, legally, I'm not considered an officer in your realm, but I'm in the cartoon realm, and over here in like cartoon Michigan.
You know what? I hear you talking, but I don't believe you're a cartoon. You're like the FBI. You're lying to me. I know you're altrusion and that you're just made to look like.
I will say,
I am altrusion, but I can only exist in your realm right now as a cartoon.
I don't believe you.
Hold out for another 5 minutes, Chris. Another.
Oh, 5. You got something to show?
I'm almost done with all these chick tracks. Like
all
I've
right,
only
we'll
got
hang
maybe
for
like
another
4 or
5.
5 left to do.
I can do that.
See.
Let's get Skinny through this. We'll give him the energy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I only have 4 left, maybe 5.
Everybody,
but I started when I
positive
came
energy.
on the stream. So.
Are these real chick tracks?
I asked the same question.
Well, they're about Fly Fox, and they're somewhat religious, but they don't have any biblical terms or anything quoted in there. There is an angel in the book, though.
Interesting.
I'll show you her in a second because she actually appears on the back of the book, too. She's got big hooters. Let's see. Let me go over here.
Oh yeah, look at those hooters.
Oh well, those are. I wish they could hand out more tracks like that when those guys who are always like yelling when we have like the Cherry Festival here in cartoon Traverse City in cartoon Michigan.
Oh, second to last one.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, I wish they'd give out more tracks with big women with big titties.
I'm gonna draw more women with big titties. I got Diana's permission and everything.
Oh, there you go.
All right, man.
Does that make me less of a man that I had to ask my wife for permission?
Depends on who you ask.
My wife.
I'm talking about depends on what other man you ask.
It's just it's all just a matter of growing your audience. I want to grow the audience.
It's also a matter of like not sleeping on the couch or something, or
well, you want to know the truth. She's talking about investing some major money in a marketing firm. Like she's looking at real business options that I never even thought of. And at first I laughed at her, and then I felt bad because she's got like this whole possible business plan, and I'm like, I don't want to pay nobody to advertise us. Let's just go buy advertising.
I want to run it past Preston because he seems to be pretty useful as far as.
Yeah, we talked about Preston, but she means literally like hiring a publicity company. And I don't know, she might be onto something I would never think of that might work.
Yeah, you might want to ask him if he's tried that before, and some other creators. But then again, you might think of something that some other creators, or she might.
This is the last one, and you know what? I licked it, and I'm still going to send it to somebody.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have documented this for the history of Otis Stein.
Let's see. Let me switch around the camera real quick.
Now, Christopher, if you're gonna go the big boobs route, you better go anime size.
Yeah.
Well, anime is kind of weird because they're either really big or really small. There's not much in between with anime.
Look, I cut all of these and stapled all of these damn things. There's at
a
least
ton of them
200
too.
there.
Are those all for your backers, or you got extra?
I'm sure I've got extra right here. I stopped counting at some point because, yeah. But
I
no, these
love
are all for the backers. But I know I'm going to have extras. I still
extras
have
are the best,
extras.
bro.
I still have a fat stack of them that I haven't cut or anything because like the way I did it is I ordered 11 what was it 8x11 prints, and I printed the whole thing on one sheet front and back.
Right.
So with Mixum, at least that's who I got to print it. There's a minimum buy-in of $25. And at first I was like, okay, we'll only need like, this many. So I put like 200. And then the price didn't change from $25. So I went up to 300. The price still didn't change. The magic number was actually 452. I don't need 452 copies of this thing, but if I bought 453, it would have been $25.25. So I got as many as I could for that $25.
Wow.
Because that's just the base pay for it.
Huh.
But yeah, so I've got like I have way more than I need of these.
That's awesome.
I don't know why I pushed it to 452, but I did.
Well, extras are awesome because like that's the kind of stuff like you can hand out when you just get a whim. Like I run into kids all the time and I'll pull out a Hero Shack book and like, here, man, take this.
Yeah. Well, since Fly Fox did it, and he also backed the book. I'm definitely going to be sending him a bunch of extra sheets that he can do up himself as well.
Very cool.
So.
And see, that's the kind of independent shit that we need to see happening because, like we cooperate with each other, we promote each other, but we're not like lock and step into hell skinny,
Yeah, please don't.
I hate shit, man.
I like having fun, man, and that's what everybody forgets. Is this should all be about having fun, having a good time.
Damn straight.
Drama isn't fun. None of this shit is fun. As much as my fingers hurt and I hate stapling things now because I've done so many of these today, it was still fun.
Yep. And it's rewarding, man. That's going to pay back in dividends as you start handing them out and sending them out and feeling it. You're going to love this. You already know it because you're already feeling it, but it's just a fun experience to do the whole thing. And
yeah.
I mean, you got your baby in
try
hand.
to start shipping stuff out by the end of the week.
Right.
I don't want to make any promises, but that's what I'm shooting for right now.
Hey.
But they'll go out here shortly anyways, regardless. I've got them. I'm just getting stuff together right now. I had to get these reprinted. I just got these the other day.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Because the first batch was all I had the first batch in time to where, by the time it came time to ship them out, I would have already had all this done. But we had an issue, but the printer did fix it. The printer did everything in their power, and they're awesome.
Very cool.
The mistakes that they made partly lies within myself too. I should have added some specific notes to the order to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I should have done that.
But now y'all know.
Now you know. And also, somebody else has stated otherwise. If you ever have an issue with a company, handle it privately.
Yes.
Shoot them a message and say, hey, this is messed up. What can we do? Can you replace it? What's going on?
Yeah, the only time you go
straight
public
to Twitter or Facebook and be like, this company is a piece of shit. Talk to them first. Give them the opportunity to make it right because mistakes do happen.
No, you're right. And, when you just blast them like that, you might get your thing fixed, but then they're just going to hate you after that. You give them the opportunity.
Hope you don't mind me putting Fly Fox Pro's channel in the chat.
Nah, I don't mind, man.
Because I figured you seem.
I think is he the guy that draws that little thing that I have in my pre-show? Or no, that's Shinobi Raccoon.
Yeah.
Well, Fly Fox Pro's been on my channel as well, but yeah, Shinobi's somebody who was on there pretty much every week for a while. Hasn't been able to make it as often lately.
I haven't been able to get up for streaming. In fact, if Matthew hadn't been on me a little bit to remind me, I probably would have just like lumbered off into a corner and kept drawing alone. So I
Dude, I was
appreciate.
so ready for that too. And
I
then you were like,
appreciate that
"Oh
you
no,
said
I'm
that,
doing
dude.
this other stuff." I was like, "Damn it!"
I appreciate it because if you hadn't, given me that little reminder, I would have been like, screw this. I'm just gonna lay here.
Are you releasing time lapse videos now?
Me?
Yeah.
I haven't yet. I'm working on some stuff to release about basically about how I make comics, and it's all done under the scope of I'm not an expert. I'm sure I do stuff that the pros will tell you is completely wrong, but this is how I've made my book so far. And the whole idea will be number one, to help people who haven't gone and done what I did, because there are plenty of people I talk to and they're like, man, I wish I could do a comic on an iPad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you really can. It's just how you want to approach it. And then, take feedback so that I can not only probably improve my techniques, but maybe even learn new stuff that I've never thought of. Because I'm definitely not that experienced. I've only been doing digital for 2 years, and I'm trying to relearn how to draw in the first place. So it's like a double whammy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. And not everything that the pros do is recommended anyway.
That's true.
There's some pros who do some awfully weird stuff, and then there's things that there's pros who do things the right way, or well, what the best way is might depend on the individual.
I've learned like a lot about integrity. Like for instance, my daughter, who is the art school major person, the girl that got the degree. She taught me, I think it's called, I forget what it's called, but I basically jumped on her because a lot of the classic art is basically traced and then painted. And that really freaked me out. Like I thought everything everywhere that you ever saw that was classic art was freehand. And that's not always the case.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like a photoscope thing that they can do, a trick they've known for hundreds of years that kind of projects an image onto a canvas. And I asked her, I said, isn't that just tracing?
Is that rotoscoping?
Yeah, maybe that's what it's called.
But it does sound like a form of tracing as well.
It is a form of tracing, but it's accepted. Like, for instance, Norman Rockwell did it all the time. And I was like, are you kidding me? Now, you still have to be good enough to paint that to life. But to start off with a sketch that you've traced off a photograph, for instance, wow, what a major shortcut / cheat,
No, it's not cheating. It's just a shortcut because you have to remember when they were doing this, they didn't have luxuries like Photoshop and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I understand that like it's just a tool of the trade, et cetera, et cetera. But growing up and conceiving, especially comic art, as being 100% drawn from hand from one artist to the inker to the color, you know what I mean? When in truth, that guy might be using some sort of rotoscoping. He might be using Photoshop. He might be, a lot of guys hired foreign artists to ghost draw for them. They'd do the breakdown and send it to some guy in the Philippines who would do it at half the price.
Yeah, there was all sorts of tracing going on that that people wouldn't like officially admit to. And hopefully legally or whatever. I mean, hopefully not, not plagiarism, but
here's the thing. There are artists.
There's been some plagiarism going on, and I don't advocate that,
But there are artists like John Byrne who can draw directly from the mind and just bring things to life. And then there are artists like that one guy, Land, I think his name, Greg Land, who like traces straight from porn.
Well, so I heard about. I think I heard about him, but even Doug Knaple, and he said this when he was. Excuse me. What was I think it was Bigfoot Bill, or might have been. I don't know about the other campaigns, but I think he had somebody else do some of the penciling.
Yeah,
and then he would kind of occasionally change things around, and he was polite about it. It wasn't like, well, this person just completely screwed up and they're, an asshole or whatever. It's just like, sometimes it just didn't turn out completely the way that he wanted it. He would, very politely, he was depicted, as, he showed himself changing things. And so, he was very open and honest about it, but he didn't do all the penciling for at least one of those campaigns because he wanted to actually get the book out to customers, without it being
it's like I've heard EBS talk about tracing cars, for instance, for background stuff. He's like, I remember distinctly he was talking about how cars suck to draw, and he understood, tracing those. I don't think he actually admitted to tracing them, but he said
let's say you took the picture yourself. Then you're not even. Then you're just. It's all you. You're just tracing your own photo.
True.
So you can even do that. You could even if I don't know if you're into photography or. I don't even know if it would even matter if you like the issue, though. Photo or some family member, some other family member.
It just blew my mind that that existed. Like I thought, up until recently, I thought everything I saw that was quote unquote hand drawn was 100% from the hand to the page, which is why like some of these digital techniques totally blew my mind. Like I was like, that's not even comic book. That's like near photographic, perfection.
Mm-hmm.
But then you find out like
I'm gonna tell you this right now. About 50% of all cityscapes are traced.
Yes.
And I think as long as you're honest about it, I'll still buy your books. The thing is that if you were to, be sneaky or something, that might be something else. If you're going in like you're taking somebody's character from a comic book and you were tracing that, and not giving people credit, I think that might be where you run into problems.
Right.
Again, I'm not even an expert on that, so I'm just saying that's probably frowned upon. But
it is. But the problem is that certain elements within a comic book are so monotonous, nobody wants to draw them. So they resort to tracing. They can trace it, use a tracing paper once, and then trace it over and over and over again, and not lose consistency.
Well, that's it, guys. Final count is 189.
Woo!
All right,
brother. Congratulations. With that, I'm gonna crash.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, that was really cool watching you. That's cool to see. That is the one thing I like about this indie comic book scene and using YouTube. Though some people have moved on to different platforms. Is watching comic book creators actually, whether they're creating on camera or they're filling their campaign or whatever.
So, before I click the end broadcast, anybody got anything to promote, or is that it for today?
That's it for today. Let's see what happens tomorrow.
Same here.
I'm on Thursday nights on YouTube on Lorenzo Sleestack channel. I just refer to it as the Sleestackins or the Thursday night shows, the variety show.
Yep.
8 p.m. Eastern. Can you figure it out the other time zones?
I think Diana and I do it on Wednesday. I think it's been Wednesday at 8 now. So there's that too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot that this is a Monday show again.
This was a rage show, bro. When I first said this, Skinny and I were in Twitter, kind of going back and forth on some of the latest news, and I was like, "Damn it, is anybody streaming tonight? Because I just want to rant and rage." And I calmed down quite a bit before I got in here.
Well, that's good.
I just wanted to rant and rave about like the political scene. I'm not
that's
usually
true.
very political, but this stuff has got my blood pressure boiling. I'm like, this is crazy.
I think ultimately, I think the creating, and I think being part of the solution might just be, focusing on the arts and stuff, art and entertainment, because that's really important. Maybe some of the problems is that people are growing up and they're not having good
the solution
storytelling and characters and
but I have to find the keys to the Voltron units, and then we can fix all of this.
I don't know. I mean, just even having like actual heroes to
So,
you
Chris,
know, just